Go. Hello, friends and bees, and friends who are also bees. Welcome to this week's Indie Thursday stream. This week we are going to be continuing our playthrough of Higurashi When They Cry, Matsuribayashi. When we left off last week, I genuinely can't remember what has happened, except things were starting to come together a bit. And the festival is coming up very, very soon. Also, Hanyu is like a physical person who can be seen, and she's super cute and I love her a lot. So rather than me waffling on, I'm going to swap to the gameplay. I'm going to warn you in advance, I've got Dua Lipa's Levitating stuck in my head, so if I start singing it to myself, I'm sorry. Hopefully I won't, because I have to do so much reading in this one, but I was getting ready for stream and was like dancing around my room to it, so that's us. Loading here, I think. Thursday the 11th. This looks right. I have no idea what happened just before this, so we'll see. Hello? It's been a while. This is Nomura. Yes, thank you for the detailed documents from the other day. Thanks to the data, men from the Ministry of Health and Welfare now understand how dangerous Hinamizawa syndrome is. That's the accomplishment of you and the late Dr. Takano. I've only made sure that you receive your fair assessment is all. Anyway, I'll make sure the Prime Minister reads your documents. He's our leader after all. I'll have the most important person in this country read your article and make sure he understands what important research this is and why Hinamizawa syndrome is an issue that needs his attention. I see, we're back to the Takano zone. I just see Nora, and I think Tetsuya Nora, of Final Fantasy fame, and I can't get my brain out of that, which is probably bad, but there we go. Also, I'll make sure the present board of directors realise how stupid they were to ignore your research and ridicule your grandfather's thesis. I feel like I'm about to sneeze. Indeed. I have great news for you. We've decided that after the operation is complete, the actual location will be isolated, shut down, and another department of the SDF will take over the research. You'll be welcome there, and you'll be able to continue your research for as long as you want, without worrying about political functions or funding. That's all thanks to your generous client who wants to reward you for your hard work. You'll be given the position of director, so you can devote yourself to your hiccup research. Isn't that wonderful? Finally, you'll be able to accomplish something that overturns common knowledge by researching Hinamizawa syndrome and the existence of parasites that influence human thought. No, I'm not just saying that to flatter you. That's what we really think. I see. Sorry to take up your time. I'll be going now. I'll get in touch with you again. The woman put down a handset of a car phone. Then she picked it up and made another call. Please transfer me to extension 1001. Yes, this is Watanabe. Watanabe. Yes, the issue from the other day has been taken care of. Yes, Major Takano's documents are wonderful. I made some people from the National Research Centre go along, so the men believed it without questioning. Yes, that's no problem either. Most of the cabinet ministers from enemy factions will be either leaving the country or going on vacation, so they'll be out of Tokyo after the 20th. Yes. There are still some unsettled issues, but everything will be set by June 23rd. Yes. Therefore, the on-site operation will take place at midnight on June 22nd, and the Prime Minister will be asked for emergency sanctions on the 23rd. Yes, everyone aiding the Prime Minister on that day will be our people. He won't even question a thing. Yes, I'm certain. The Prime Minister will definitely sign Emergency Manual 34. Afterwards, an investigation into alphabet duties will be taken up, and the Okino, Chiba, and Old Koizumi factions will lose a great deal of sway. Yes, that's right. It's only a matter of time before we succeed with the Asian Amity and Reconstruction Summit. That's true. There's money to spend on developing domestic nuclear arms, or the Japanese-American alliance spanning the Pacific be more profitable for our nation to spend it on ODA towards China. The 21st century will be the era of China, with their nation claiming a good portion of the world's population. Isn't that the truth? Japan gets nothing out of wagging its tail for the US anymore. Yes, I know. 21st century is almost here, yet we're still saying that communism is the greatest evil. Maybe we've been watching too many bad American propaganda movies. Yes, I understand. Okay, then I'll see you in Macau next week. Yes, I love to gamble. Yes, it was nice talking to you. I'll get in touch with you soon. The woman put down the handset of her car phone and took a breath. She smiled in satisfaction, then picked it up again. Give me the Chief Cabinet Secretary, please. Yes, this is Maizawa. Yes, it's me, Chief Okino. Love the idea of this, like, conspiracy to conduct a biological attack, basically in order to take down other political factions. I say love this idea. I don't love it. Oh man. If only I'd known get through that scene, I would have been at the end of the chapter. Oh well. Any tips available? I love it in the sense that I'm interested in it. For passion for new religious movements and stuff like that. Anyway, not that this really is one, but let's continue. I still feel like I'm about to sneeze. Whatever is going on? Rika, you aren't behaving normally this morning. Do you think so? Am I acting strange? I don't know how to say it, but you seem much more mature today. How? Rika's being mature. Or Hanyu, don't tease me today. You too, Satoko. Please don't mess around. I don't feel like it. About a week counting from today, huh? Satoko gave me a perplexed look. Maybe she thought I didn't feel well. I want to talk to Keiichi and the others, including Satoko, but I don't know how or where to begin. We all like to joke around a lot, so they might not take me seriously. How can I get them to understand the danger that I'm in? Good morning to you, Miss Chie. Oh, you're here as well, Coach. Good morning to you too. Good morning, Satoko, Rika. Oh my, oh my. Is that a creepy comment here? Dr. Irie, stop acting like that at school. Coach, Rika doesn't seem to be feeling well this morning. Might you check her over, please? Oh, what's the matter? Did you catch a cold? I still don't know how to tell my friends, but Irie, at least, is on our side. Maybe I can talk to him more directly. If I keep thinking about it, I'll still be thinking at the end of the day. Maybe I'll start with him. Hanyu nodded, as if saying that was a good idea. Stoko, let's play a trick on Keiichi. Let's do something to his chair. Oh, please, it's a trap, not a trick. I'll teach you how to set a trap for Keiichi. Ow. I still haven't worked out how to, do that. Hanyu and Stoko ran to the classroom. Hanyu must have left on purpose. I have to use this chance he's given me. Irie, can I talk to you in the nurse's office? Sure, that's fine. Let's go there. Irie probably thinks I'm going to talk to him about Hinamizawa syndrome, so he agreed to go somewhere people couldn't hear. If there's any change in my physical condition, it could be a sign of something very serious. Even if it's just a simple cold, Irie is very concerned about my health. What's wrong? Are you feeling sick? Irie, I'm going to tell you something odd, but I want you to take it seriously. It's a very important matter. I gave Irie the sternest look I've ever shown him as I spoke. He usually acts like an idiot, but he can be an adult when he needs to be. Seeing the expression on my face, he started to look more grave himself. How do I start? Okay. Irie, I'm the queen carrier, right? Yes. The parasite that lives in your body is different from everyone else's. What happens if I die? Like I told you before, something terrible will happen. To be precise, we believe something terrible will happen. After all, it's possible to verify until you die. However, several cases involving social brain parasites similar to those of Hinamizawa syndrome have shown that the death of the queen carrier can cause mass suicides or riots. That would be Mr. Kano's area of expertise. Maybe you should ask her instead. I don't know much about it myself. In other words, Takano knows better than anybody that if I die, something terrible will happen. More than ever, I don't know why she wants to kill me. There's no way I can figure it out myself. Irie is here with me right now. Maybe he'll know. I should ask him. Irie, please don't ask any questions and just answer. Would there be something to gain from killing me? What? Kill you, Rika? Who would... Irie, you weren't supposed to ask any questions, remember? Sorry. No, I can't think of anything. There isn't anyone who would benefit from your death. I repeat, if something happens to the queen carrier, all infected persons will reach the terminal stage within 48 hours. That's what makes the syndrome so dangerous. The scale of the disaster will be far greater than any individual case of paranoia or psychosis. Would anyone profit from that disaster? No way. Killing you is tantamount to killing all 2,000 villagers. Nobody would consider that for a minute, even as a joke. If I die, all of the residents of Hinamizawa will go insane and may even kill each other. What a perfect ending for people who are descended from demons, huh? Could that be what Takano wants? Since she always talks about dangerous and bizarre things, it's obvious she enjoys cruelty. She always talks about how she wants to witness with her own eyes the raw brutality of man-eating demons she read about in the dark history of Onagafuchi village. It's possible she wants me dead just so all the villagers will develop terminal symptoms. Of course, that's in the worst case. So if something happens to you, there's an emergency measure we're supposed to follow. An emergency measure? I've never heard of anything like that. I've never told you this before. It's rather an unpleasant measure, so that's why I never mentioned it. The Iria Institute's top priority is protecting the Queen Carrier. But if you die and all infected persons develop terminal symptoms, we're supposed to go ahead with this contingency plan. That's understandable. If 40,000 villagers were to go insane, there'd be no guarantee the devastation would remain within the village. Obviously, it's a good idea to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Sorry. There are these things called emergency manuals, and amongst them, the one for the worst possible disaster, the event of your death, is called Manual 34. What happens with that? Before all the villagers go insane, they'll be exterminated. To be exact, a special unit from the SDF will seal off Hinamizawa and kill the villagers using poisonous gas. I've never heard of that before either. Sorry, I don't really like talking about it. I've been interested in things that happen before I die, but not in things that happen after I'm dead. This disaster only takes place after I die. I had no idea that something like this occurs every single time. Or rather, I'm the cause. If the enemy is capable of erasing an entire village, then killing a little girl like me won't be a problem at all. Hanyu was telling me to just talk to everyone, but can I really stand against an opponent like that? Anyway, the existence of this emergency manual changes everything. Takano's motive no longer makes sense. I thought her goal was for all the villagers to go mad and slaughter each other like demons, but according to what Irie said, that wouldn't even happen. The villagers will all be killed before it does. I'm not Takano, so I can't be sure, but I don't think that'd be fun for her. It doesn't make sense to kill me for that purpose, especially since we've known each other for such a long time. Do you think it's possible for Takano and the mountain dogs to kill me? Don't be stupid. It's just impossible. Mr. Takano's number one priority is to protect you, and one of the mountain dog's main duties is to watch over you. Simply unthinkable. Irie, even so, supposing Takano wanted to kill me, can you think of a motive for her doing so? No, I can't. She knows better than anyone about the dangers of the Queen Carrier. Besides, as you're well aware, she's very passionate about her research into the syndrome. Killing you would put an end to that source of her passion. But, Irie, Hinamizawa syndrome is supposed to be eradicated within 3 years, isn't it? In other words, you're going to destroy the disease. What does Takano think about that? Well, Hinamizawa syndrome is the target of treatment for me, but for Mr. Takano, it's research material. Actually, she's strongly against the plan to eradicate it within 3 years, and she's even made a trip to Tokyo to request an indefinite extension of the project from the board of directors. She wasn't successful, though. So what you're saying is that Takano wants to continue her research, but Hinamizawa syndrome is going to be eradicated within 3 years, so Takano is going to lose the subject of her research, isn't she? I guess you can say that. I think I see something here. The Iria Institute isn't a small organisation. It's being managed by a lot of people and it receives a great deal of funding. That's the only way they can even research the syndrome. So if the Iria Institute is planning to put an end to the research within 3 years, there really isn't much Takano can do about it. It's all going to end anyway, then maybe she wants to shake things up? No way. Something like that can't possibly happen. But you know how she is, right? She would do it. She would kill me if she wanted to, don't you think? No way. No way. Something as horrible as that just isn't possible. And I guess this is why Irie kills himself later. I feel like I'm starting to see Takano's motive, but it seems like there must be more. After all, the project will continue for at least 3 additional years. It's possible that during those 3 years, her request will be approved and the research will get an extension. In other words, the research is guaranteed to continue for a minimum of 3 more years. Given those 3 years, why is she so desperate now? Besides, I'm always killed in June 1983. The date may change a bit, but the month won't. That must be the result of her strong willpower. It'd be one thing if the research was being terminated immediately. She still has 3 years, so she's already getting desperate. Her motive is too weak. She must be possessed with a strong conviction that it has to be June 1983. After that, no matter how I questioned Irie, he kept repeating there was no way Takano would kill me, so I didn't see how he could be of any more help. Pardon me. However, if I'm able to explain Takano's motive, then I think he could be my ally. But for now, this is all I can do with him. I've got tissue all over my hoodie that I washed a handful of days ago. I'm going to talk to Tomitake too. Tomitake is a lot closer to Tokyo than Irie is. Maybe he can tell me something Irie can't. I hope I can learn something important from him too, enough to convince him that Takano has strong enough motive to kill me. Tomitake should be visiting Hinamizawa around this time. He spends a lot of time with Takano, but he often takes walks by himself to enjoy photographing birds too. I'll try finding him when he's not with Takano and talking to him then. Although he does have strong feelings towards her, I'm worried he won't listen to me as seriously as Irie did. Thank you very much. I'm going back to the classroom. If you find out something about Takano, please let me know. Rika, why do you think Mr. Takano is trying to kill you? You haven't developed symptoms, have you? If you're doubting me, then would you like to run a test right now? I said some terrible things out of the blue, so I don't blame him for becoming suspicious. However, thanks to the rapid diagnostic test Irie developed at this point, it was easy to prove with a syringe. I just had to submit to the needle to show I haven't developed terminal symptoms. The results were negative, of course. It's just impossible for Mr. Takano to... just impossible. Maybe now Irie believes there's a possibility that Takano is trying to kill me. I left the nurse's office. I hope we'll grow curious about Takano and try and find out something about her. So how was it, Rika? Did you find out anything? Well, yes and no. It's hard to say, but there are a couple of interesting things. One is how the Irie Institute is trying to eradicate the syndrome within 3 years. Takano doesn't like the idea. She went to Tokyo to petition for the continuation of her research, but they refused. That might cause her to become desperate. The second one is this thing called Emergency Manual 34. Supposedly, if I die, that will be executed and the whole village will be murdered by poisonous gas. Oh. They say that when I die, the villagers will develop terminal symptoms, right? First I thought that Mr. Takano wants me dead because she wants to see that happen, but since there's such an emergency manual, the village will be gone long before then. So that can't be her motive. Every time I ask Irie, all he says is that it isn't possible. According to him, Takano understands the importance of the situation better than anyone, so she doesn't have any reason to kill me. Oh, well. I know. I've only asked Irie so far. It's possible we can learn more information or wisdom from other people too. That's right. Unless we bring everyone's power together, a miracle won't occur. We need that miracle to defeat our enemies. It's almost lunchtime. That'll be a good chance to talk to everyone. Though, the problem is whether or not they'll take it seriously when I talk to them. Once I start talking about the secret society, Tokyo, they'll obviously ask what manga I'm talking about. I need to figure out a good way to discuss it so I avoid misunderstandings. Oh, I think it'll be better to be honest with them, without thinking too much about it. Do you really think so? Yes, let's just try. Tell them in the way I'll teach you, and I'm sure they'll take you seriously and help out. I'm still not sure, but Hanyu seems confident. She spent her life observing various people. She's never talked to me directly before this life, but she knows her better than I do. I talk to everyone during lunchtime in the way Hanyu taught me. It sure is interesting. And then? How? It's amazing, Rika. How do you come up with things like that? I know. You're so talented. If you work on it a little more, you can end up with a really great manga. I don't know what to say. I thought maybe something was bothering you because you haven't been looking good since this morning. Why didn't you come to me first? See? I told you you could count on them. Ow, ow. Count on them, huh? All comes down to how you put it, I guess. Some man can create application forms, make rough drafts, ink tone, draw backgrounds, typeset, proofread, take manuscripts to a printer, publish, distribute, and support. He can do it all. Good thing you came to him. Oh, you sure are great, Mion. You can be a cartoonist, an editor, a publisher, and a bookstore owner all at once. Really? My dad says things like that too. Is doing everything yourself in style now? Oh, I'm curious about what kind of comic Mion would write. I'm curious. Hold on. You're all getting sidetracked. Let's help Rika out, alright? Good old Stoko. I told them about all the secrets surrounding Hinamizawa. I told them I wanted to write a comic book and that I needed their help to decide on a few things. If I spoke to them about this normally, they might question my sanity, but to see things change this dramatically with just a little preface? Hanyu, you're pretty good. Anyway, so if this Queen Carrier dies, the village will be destroyed because of some emergency measure. That's the focus, right? My goodness, if there really was someone like that, she'd better be very careful. One mistake and the whole village would disappear. We should just capture her, wrap her in bubble wrap, and put her in storage or something. But she gets killed, right? If they know her death will create disaster, why would they kill her? Why? That's just it. The bad people at the research centre know what will happen, yet they're still trying to kill me. I mean, the Queen Carrier. I just can't think of a good explanation for why. I kind of see an outline of the motive, though. Can they actually find a hint without knowing any of the actual details? So simple. The fact that the entire village gets destroyed if the Queen Carrier dies is a motive in and of itself. Mion laughed as she casually voiced what was on her mind. But Mion, this villain wants to research the disease more, so there's no way she'd put an end to herself. That's not a big problem. Just set some masterminds putting strings behind that villain. That or some villain who's just using that villain. A villain who wants to use Takano? Listen, if the Queen dies, the village is plunged into chaos. To cover up, a mass execution operation is carried out. Fundamentally, this is a countermeasure against the worst possible outcome, a trump card that must never be played, because playing it causes a disaster of its own, even if it settles the previous situation. You're right. In politics, they always talk about who takes responsibility for this and who resigns for that. In fact, a mass execution like that was to take place, someone would have to explain it and take responsibility. Well, it's a secret operation, so I'm sure it won't be made public, but there'll be many people questioned within that Tokyo organisation, that's for sure. Isn't that a motive for killing the Queen Carrier? Oh, why? Who benefits from such chaos? There are plenty of people. Think about it. The wind always blows in one direction. For some people it's a headwind, and for others it's a tailwind. There are always people who gain and people who lose. I thought somebody's taken advantage of Takano. I see. Oh. My brain finds this quite stimulating. In other words, if something like that happens, there'll be some people who have to take responsibility for it, and their enemies will gain from it, whoever they are. That's right. There are always different powers and factions within an organisation, especially if it's a huge mastermind organisation like this Tokyo. I'm sure many different people have hidden agendas. In other words, there are plenty of people who want to rule over others, and there are plenty of reasons to assassinate the Queen Carrier. Are you saying that, even if the bad person doesn't have a reason, there could be people who have reasons to kill the Queen Carrier in Tokyo? There you go, you got it. Also, what about this backstory for the bad person at the secret research centre? She wants to keep her research going, but it's already been decided it'll end within 3 years, right? So this research is about to see all her research torn to naught. That means all the fruits of her life's work are about to be ruined, and she's under extreme duress. Not only that, I think her pride must be hurt too. That's true. The value of the research this bad person has spent half her life on isn't being acknowledged by the people at the top, and they even told her that it'll be shut down. That must be tough. It's hard when other people deny that which you've worked so hard to accomplish. Rika. Yeah, I know. Amazing. My friends really are the best. This is starting to sound like a real motive for Takano. So what would this bad person do then? Of course, the first thing she'd do would be to appeal to her bosses. She'd probably try and explain to Tokyo how important and valuable her research is, and ask them not to shut it down. But, well, Tokyo just said, yes, got it, continue research, we'll increase your budget too. It wouldn't be much of a story. So the boss at Tokyo was sure to turn her request down hard and thoroughly. They tell her that her work is a waste of time, and it should be scrapped immediately, or something like that. God, the metatextualism. We've meted. Maybe I'll make that the title of this episode on YouTube. Part whatever, we've meta. Rika told me Takano had gone to Tokyo to request an extension on their research. He also said her request was denied. Oh, can you imagine her anger at having her life's work mocked by her superiors? There are then only 2 options open to her. Satoko, what are they? That's easy. She can cry herself to sleep over it, or she can take revenge. Keiichi and Satoko gave each other a high five. Well, lying down and taking it wouldn't be interesting either. In that case, a villainous researcher, who loved her research more than anyone, starts growing desperate and believing she should at least end it herself rather than letting anyone else end it for her. All because of her pride. Oh, and that's where the hidden agenda from Tokyo comes in. No way! You mean the idea that someone will gain when the village is thrown into disaster and another's forced to take responsibility? Exactly. The villainous researcher is depressed after having her life's work rejected, but by rounding her up the right way, they can cause tragedy in the village without soiling their own hands. Then they can take their time investigating and demanding responsibility. Well done. See? That's right. There's more. This villain is depressed after having a life's work rejected, right? So then one of the young leaders plotting to kick another member of Tokyo down and climb the ladder dispatches his own agent to entice this villain. She's depressed because her reason for existing was trampled on, right? If someone tells her he believes in her and such, she'll fall for it easily. The stronger a person's pride is, the easier they fall for that kind of encouragement. That means the bad person is simply being used by her evil masterminds. Well, happens a lot in action shows. You know how, like, someone devotes his entire life to an evil organization, but after one mistake he gets eliminated? But in this story, the evil researcher has to be eliminated for sure, right? For the masterminds, there's no point in letting her stick around. That's right. So this poor bad person, she thinks she's gotten an evil little part to play, but at the end, her life's work is insulted, she gets used by the masterminds, and after all that, she still gets killed. Although she's a bad person, people may sympathise with her for what she's gone through. Looks at camera like I'm in the office. But I guess that's what makes the story interesting. Don't you think? Maybe we can use that in the next issue. Hanyu and I could only listen to them talk. They are truly amazing. They really are. It is very possible, especially if I think about Takano's character. Come to think of it, Irie kept repeating that isn't possible a whole lot, which means that those words could be a reflection of how possible it might be. I'm sure my friends can answer that question. I'm going to ask them, so let's ask them. Then why is she so desperate when she still has 3 years left? That doesn't matter. It really doesn't make a difference if you're getting executed tomorrow or 3 days later, right? It's just a matter of the length of her probation. This bad person doesn't feel she has 3 years left. She feels that she's been sentenced to die in 3 years. That's just what the masterminds want. They're the ones controlling this bad person. I think it's the masterminds who want to destroy the village at this particular time, not the bad person. This is a huge operation, you know? It has to succeed. The death of the Queen Carrier isn't their only key to success. Whoever's at the top has to decide to go ahead with the emergency measure. The responsibility issue after the operation aside, they have to take care of things like preparation, or rather, they have to figure out the perfect type to do the most damage. After calculating all that, I think they're going to get on with the operation now that the project has only 3 years left. So in the end, after this bad person gets used, she is eliminated. She's the villain, but I feel kind of sorry for her. I see. Oh. Okay, let me move on to the most important thing. To defeat them, how can the Queen Carrier girl fight back? She's the main character in my story. Huh, sounds interesting. So the girl they're trying to kill has to run from the evil people, right? It depends on how you serialize it. If you want a long series, to come up with new pursuers and assassins one after another will let you go on for a long time. Possibly we want a short-term and concentrated series. I burst out laughing at Hanyu's metaphor. Okay, then we just have to take care of the bad person quickly and shoot for a happy ending. It's more exciting to fight than to run. But the main character is just an ordinary little girl, right? How can she fight? Girls nowadays aren't powerless. She might appear to be a cute, weak girl, but she has secret hidden powers. She's an S-Rat hunter with the blood of royalty, and her nickname is the Ebony Fallen Angel. Sounds like the name of original character of some middle schooler. I wish I got a screenshot of that. Hey, Mion, what's wrong? Do you have a stomachache or something? Fine. This old man just ain't talented enough. Mion, you can do it. Though when you read that manga 10 years from now, it may be so bitter you write in agony. I don't know exactly what Mion is trying to say, but anyway, the main character is a weak little girl and she doesn't have any special weapons. If anything, she's good at acting innocent. Also, she's mean and she abuses me with spicy food. Sounds good. I'll try that starting tonight. Oh. I see, so she's just a regular girl, huh? But a story where a character like that beats such a conspiracy is going to be difficult. No way, it's impossible. She couldn't win without at least gathering a variety of weapons and the skills to operate a radio and a helicopter. Either that or a professional survivalist who underwent special forces training. That or someone capable of causing confusion in their ranks with just a truck and a few weapons once they're in the jungle. I have a feeling that if Mion and Toka were the main character's friends, that'd solve the problem right there. Huh? This old man? Sure, if he was a character, it'd change the whole story. My fighting techniques and leadership skills are unparalleled. Plus, if the story took place here in the village, my familiarity with the area is top-notch too. Besides, anyone who makes the enemy of Satoko is as good as dead. Am I right? I don't know what kind of secret unit this bad person has, but they're nothing compared to my traps. If the main character and I barricaded ourselves in the hills, no enemy could lay his fingers upon her. Yeah, if she holds up with Satoko in the hills behind us, then her assailants would need either a bombardment capable of crossing the whole thing, or a Hanoi-class heavy bomber at least. Even if they led with that before entering the mountain, they'd still take on severe casualties. Furthermore, I'd be commanding the operations. Well, her assailants better be prepared for casualties on par. Right, Satoko? Oh. Better. Escalating once more. True, Satoko would be amazing on the hills, but are you sure you can defeat the mountain bad person's helpers? They are professionals, you know. Surprise attacks and traps are effective against anyone. The Vietnam War is a good example. US Army, the most powerful military in the world, couldn't stand up against the jungle. A multitude of traps set by someone who knows the area well will go a very long way. You saying Satoko's traps would work on them too? Of course. Not only that, they'd be very effective. Plus, the traps isn't just to ensnare the victims. They also make people extremely afraid. They're professionals, so they'll be extra careful. Therefore, the commander will become indecisive. He'll have to decide whether to go into the hills or not. That means we gain more time. So they would need at least a bombardment to capture us. But this isn't war, so they probably won't go that far. Definitely don't think that's possible. Anyway, Miona's a professional when it comes to deciding on tactics, and she's saying that Satoko's traps will be more than effective, even against the mountain dogs. That's reassuring. The flip side of traps is that they can only be used to defend, and it takes a long time to set them up. Also, traps don't discriminate. Satoko's hills meet all the requirements, though. Oh no, Annie's stuck on screen forever. That's true. Nobody goes out into the hills, and Satoko's traps are already everywhere. The main character can barricade herself in just by going there. If I'm going to be there, it won't be a simple barricade. I'm going to use it as a diversion to draw away the enemy's main force and then launch a surprise attack. Drawing the enemy in deep and attacking from behind when the defences are light is the rudimentary tactic for ambush and counterattack. Repelling them at the beachhead is the height of hard-headedness. How Mion and Satoko are so cool. But Katie and I left out. Then all of us will be the main characters. We'll all fight them off together. There you go. That's better. Now that we're all in on it, it's like this is club members versus an evil organisation, huh? Don't know what kind of bad person this is. Kind of a bad person this is, but I feel sorry for her and her friends. Do I don't know how powerful they are? Fighting face to face is one thing, but if we use our knowledge of the terrain, they have no chance of winning. If they want to defeat us here in Hinamizawa, they'll need to bring an overlord-class army to bear. They will fight off even that. Mion laughed and everyone nodded along. Amazing. I'm starting to think that if we try our best, we can defeat even the mountain dogs. If we fight directly, we'll be taken down immediately, and even if we use a surprise attack. But if we set traps, and if we have enough of them, who knows? See, Rika? Your friends are very reliable. You're right. I don't know why I never told them anything until now. Even if it's something you can't do alone, you can do it with your friends. Even if only a miracle can make it happen, if we all try our hardest, it can be done easily. That's what a miracle is. My heart is pounding. What is this emotion? I feel like nothing is impossible if I work together with them. Hanyu told me that, in a different world, they defeated the worst scenario of all, the one where Tepe comes home. I don't remember, but something tells me deep inside that the exact same kind of miracle is about to happen in this world too. Me, and everyone else too. We want a lot more ideas. How can we defeat this conspiracy? Please tell me a lot more. I don't know why Mion is abruptly our, transition character, but there we go. I'd only asked for Tomotage, but Irie had come with him. Irie must be bothered by what I told him this morning, but he can't come to a conclusion on his own, so he wants Tomotage to listen to me too. After saying that he wouldn't interrupt us, he sat down a little distance away. I heard from Director Irie. Why are you suspicious of Ms. Takano? She knows better than anyone that your death would cause a disaster. Besides, Mr. Connor's been good to you and Toko, right? And to say this about her now, don't you think that's a little ungrateful? I expected this from Tomitake. If I was in the same mood as I was this morning, I probably wouldn't have continued. But having expected this, I may be able to continue without getting upset. Tomitake, please be honest with me. I want you to really think about it too. Of course, Tuhana wouldn't kill me under normal circumstances, but can you absolutely guarantee that she would never do so? What do you mean? Takano has devoted her life to the research of the syndrome. Isn't that true? Yeah, just between you and me, she's the most important person at the institution. Dr. Irie's position is just a formality, and Mr. Kano is the one who's really leading the research. This is supposed to be a secret, but the syndrome was discovered by her grandfather. Mr. Kano respects him greatly, and she opened the Irie Institute so she could continue and complete his research. So how does she feel now about being told the project will be shutting down in 3 years? Takano even went to Tokyo and requested an extension, but it was denied, right? Couldn't you say then that the meaning of her life itself is being denied? Don't you think she's hurt? Rika, where did you hear all that? Tomitake went silent for a moment. He must have realised that I'm not just saying random things. It is true that Mr. Kano went to see the board of directors and she was evaluated extremely poorly. According to what I've heard, they really ridiculed her work. She was told the research project was a waste of money. She's been acting normally, but I think she was really hurt by it, yeah. See? So how can you be so sure she won't become desperate, thinking her research is going to be shut down anyway? No, not Mr. Kano. It's impossible. That's the same thing that Irie said. He kept saying it was impossible, yet he couldn't deny it completely. He repeated the same phrase over and over to refute that possibility. In fact, even though we know she's the enemy, we can only guess at her motive. The only way to find out is to tie her down and make her confess. But there is meaning in making Tomitake become suspicious of Takano. It's even important to do that so he'll become my ally. Of course, this is also a strategy devised by our club leader. It's rather a scary thing to imagine, but Mr. Kano won't gain anything from your death. I can understand her becoming desperate, but she has self-control. Time heals all wounds. Isn't it easier to deceive the heartbroken? Deceive? What do you mean? Tomitake, if I die, something terrible will happen, right? An emergency manual will be executed and the whole village will be destroyed. Is that right? I had no idea. Tomitake isn't good at covering his lies. It shows that he's bad at hiding things, since he's innately honest, which makes him a nice person. Irie told me already. I don't want to waste time, so let's just be open about this, okay? The emergency manual is the last resort, so if it's actually executed, it'll be a disaster, right? Tomitake seemed to be wondering if he should confirm the existence of an emergency manual, but the fact that Irie had already told me about it, combined with me being the Queen Carrier, prompted him to say it, albeit hesitantly. Yeah, it will be a disaster. It's not easy to erase an entire village. We'll have to cross several dangerous bridges, and it's not humane even if it becomes necessary. It truly will be a disaster. Be straight with you. Someone will benefit from that situation. No way. There can't be. There won't be any gains. It'll develop into a hunt for blame, and in the worst case, the problem might expand past Tokyo and into the government. In which case, there's someone who'll benefit from that commotion, isn't there? If the emergency manual is executed, there'll be someone forced to sign off on it, and afterwards they'll start an investigation into the people who allowed the situation to get to that point. To be specific, those in charge of organising the institute. Won't those manipulators be forced to take the blame and be driven out of Tokyo? I'm not sure. There's a limited number of posts. People are constantly vying for them. So would it be that strange if there was someone hoping to steal a seat by lighting a fuse on this dangerous bomb we call the emergency manual? They could remain hidden in a safe place and snugly fill the gap after everything's blown up. All of this is what Mion suggested. She didn't know a thing about Tokyo, yet she struck its course so hard even Tomitake was shaken. Mion is the greatest commander and strategist our club could ever have. Tomitake folded his arms. He's starting to lose his cool. I think he realises that what I'm saying isn't mere nonsense. It's true that a big shot in Tokyo just passed away. He left a power vacuum and there's a political struggle going on over it. Even the Irie Institute's client, the Alphabet Project, had its board of directors purged and reformed. So there's been talk of immediately shutting down the research in order to make an example of the Irie Institute, since it's supported by the old faction. So if I die and the emergency manual is executed, the Irie Institute and the board of directors behind it, as well as the faction that supports them, will be held responsible. Normally, the Hinamizawa syndrome and other dangerous forms associated with it are safe because only Tokyo knows about them. But when there's an enemy within Tokyo itself, Hinamizawa becomes a bomb that's all too easy to detonate. Is that something you made up, Rika? Is it a lie? Or is it the truth? I don't know, but if I think about what's going on in Tokyo, I guess It's possible for some people to think things like that. Tomatake, you're a good person. You're a very good person who believes in his close friend. So I know if I say these things to that Tomatake, he'll never accept them. But I have to bring this up with First Lieutenant Tomatake, auditor for the Institute. You're saying that it's Mr. Kano? Yes. Her request was denied, as were hers her own life. Not only that, she was denounced by the board of directors, so she's very hurt. You should know that, since you're always with her, Tomatake. Cool the fuck out. I just realised I need to do a thing. Ugh. Need to be up at 7 tomorrow. Well, I don't want to. And then there's a conference I'm attending over the weekend, which is super early in the morning. Ugh. Fuck it. Sorry, I'll deal with this afterwards. I was just trying to think if I want to stay up trying to do my reading today or not. Since you're always with her, Tomatake, is there any chance that someone seeking to use that heartbroken Takano approached her and instigated her into action? People who are hurt often open their hearts to whoever claims to understand them. Someone like that might have approached Takano to start something that will lead to chaos in Tokyo. Tomatake insisted that Mr. Kano would never do that. He repeated it a few more times, but then he fell silent again. Oh no, transition me on his back. Tomatake is an adult. He must have experienced some heartbreaking events himself. That's why he can understand that Takano is very hurt, and that it's possible that someone's using her. I understand what you want to say. I should clear some issues first before I can truly trust Mr. Kano, huh? Tomatake, I'll get in touch with both Okanogi from the Mountain Dogs and the Tokyo office to see if there's been suspicious reports regarding her lately. The Mountain Dog's specialty is counterintelligence, after all. No, the Mountain Dogs are on her side. What? This is someone who persuaded Takano. Of course they've taken measures for the Mountain Dogs as well. That isn't impossible. Mountain Dogs are a special counterintelligence unit. Even if there was a collaborator in the Area Institute, it'd be very difficult so long as they were attending to their duties. But if the Mountain Dogs themselves were, could that be? But Tomatake, please look into both Takano and the Mountain Dogs. Irie is on my side, but he doesn't know too much about Tokyo. That's true. I'm just a researcher. I know my position is just a formality for their convenience. That's why I can't clear Rika's suspicions by myself. I understand. I've been told there's a possibility that the Irie Institute could become rebellious. That's the reason why I'm here. I'll start investigating Mr. Kano and the Mountain Dogs right away. Thank you for believing me. This is the first time you have. Been left away in many worlds, but Tomatake finally listened to me. He will be a very strong ally in the fight against Takano, and I'm grateful for my friends who prepared me to talk to him. I got information on the current situation from Irie, had my friends analyse it, and because of that, managed to get Tomatake to listen. Just as Hanyu said, I couldn't have done anything if I kept thinking about it all alone. But after talking to my friends, things are already changing. Actually, I'm going into hiding starting today. Mion's house has a secret basement that's perfect for that. I haven't talked to Mion about it yet, but I think she'll understand my request now. So if you find anything, please get in touch with her. Starting today, please act like I've gone missing. Understood. I think that's safest too. I'll act like I usually do, so people don't grow suspicious. They'll be careful, of course. And Dr. Irie, please act normal as well, but always be on your guard. I understand. I'll be very cautious. Tomatake, please be careful yourself. I have a feeling he might be assassinated within a few days. This is the part that he's never taken seriously. Please, hear what I'm saying. Okay, I'll be extra careful. Thank you. Then Tomatake turned around all of a sudden. Irie and I sensed something odd from his behaviour and grew tense. Then we heard some footsteps. We've been so careless. Did somebody overhear us? Don't worry, it was just transition me on. Did Kano and her people hear what we were saying? I'll never forget that laugh as long as I live. Hello, hello. What an interesting group. Dr. Irie, Mr. Tomatake, and Rika. I've been to Hinamizawa quite often, but I've never seen you three together before. Oh, hello, Mr. Oishi. Huh? Is today the meeting day for Tanagashi? It's still so early. Irie trying to change the subject, but obviously Oishi had heard everything. Tomitake from Tokyo was okay, but it's too early from the Oishi from the police department to get involved. Things are already complicated. Why does he have to show up now? Anyway, this isn't good. Well, when I went to your house, Miss Hoto told me you were here, and I happened to run into your secret meeting. Sorry to bother you, though. The effort is leaving only silence. The way Oishi is speaking makes it obvious he's trying to sniff things out. I bet he only heard a part of our conversation, so he can't grasp exactly what we're talking about. That's why he's trying to make us confess the whole thing. Come now, don't look at me like that. I'm getting embarrassed. Well, I brought someone with me today. Someone Rika would love to see again. Ooh. I wonder if you remember, Rika, because if you don't, you might even start crying. What? Who? I can only think of one person. But did he ever come here in June 1983? But who else would come visit me? Come on in. Oishi encourages a young man to enter. He looks a lot more mature than the last time I saw him. Akasaka. Thank you for remembering me, Rika. You won't tell me to go back to Tokyo this time, will you? Akasaka. I remember how you helped me. Rather, maybe I forgot at some point. But if I forgot about it completely, I'd regret it. So I recalled it. You told me to call Yuke, and because I did, she avoided getting in an accident. You saved her life. And I'm here now out of gratitude. Feel like I've forgotten about it for a very long time. But now I finally remember. Sorry to make you wait for so long. That's right, you made me wait forever. And now you show up in this final world. Waited until the very last minute. How dare you? I'm your ally no matter what. I'll believe everything you tell me, and I will defeat whoever is trying to kill you. He remembered some strange things as he talked to me. He remembered the sad world where he lost his wife working on the kidnapping case in Hinamizawa. He forgot about me because of the despair, and only remembered her afterwards. He regretted not being able to do anything for me. That memory from a different world brought Akasaka here. He calls himself my ally. That means a lot to me, since I never thought I'd have any allies at all. Can only bury my face in his chest and cry. He's got a young kid, he's probably used to it. I haven't seen anything. I don't know anything. No, don't know a thing. Mr. Oishi, no. Complained that I couldn't defeat Takano alone. Hanyu admonished me. She told me that if we put our strength together and all believed in the same thing, we could make a miracle happen. I didn't believe her, but after I talked to Irie, my friends and Tomitake, things were getting better and better. And now Akasaka's here too. Was he supposed to be coming back, or is this a miracle? Miracles do occur. This man never held me even once before, yet he might be my most dependable ally. Now he's back and he's even telling me he's my ally no matter what. See? It happens. Miracles really do occur. You're right. We can make them happen. If we keep putting our strength together, do you think even more miracles will happen? Then, do you think we can make a miracle happen and defeat the curse of 1983? Yes, because we can smash the dream of 1983 only by putting everyone's strength together. Hanyu, who used to be just a bystander, is now persuading me. She's admonishing me for pretending to fight while I too was actually just a sulky bystander. Are you okay, Rika? Yeah, sorry about that. Seeing you brought back so many memories that I lost my cool. Weep. I wiped my tears and tried to hide my embarrassment. The Higurashi continued to cry. The Higurashi had been trying to remind me of something very important. I felt like they taught me something important, and my eyes grew teary again. I'm surprised. I didn't know you had... Let me introduce myself. I'm Mamoru Akasaka. I work in Case Records, Room 7 at the Tokyo Metropolitan... I'm not reading all that out loud. On the Case Records rooms in Tokyo's Public Safety Bureau, a secret department on par with the CIRO. I believe it's a tough secret investigation unit that some would criticise as being secret police. No department would be foolish enough to slap secret onto the name for the secret division. Real secret divisions have boring names meant to fool the average person. That's true for Akasaka's department too. It's called a reference room, but they don't manage documents. You seem to know quite a lot about us. Didn't think there'd be someone who knows the true identity of the public safety department. Judging from the conversation you're having, I take it you have your own reasons for that. Well, I'm into stuff like that. I just happen to know, that's all. Tomitake, why don't you reveal your identity, huh? I, for one, always figured you weren't just some travelling photographer. No, that is the truth. Just like taking pictures, that's all. What a waste of time this conversation is. This is the final world, after all. Tomitake is the one who's connecting us in Tokyo, but he's my ally just the same. Rika! Tomitake and Irie yield simultaneously. To them, it's an extremely important secret, and if someone were to find out, they'd get eliminated by the mountain dogs. But it's okay now. There's no point in continuing to have suspicions and doubts. I've had enough of that. It's already obvious Tomitake isn't telling the truth, but he's still trying to deny what I just said. You're Director Irie, right? Thank you for taking care of me when I was injured 5 years ago. You really did a great job treating my wounds. Ah, now I remember. No, don't mention it. I only did my job. The Irie Clinic is also known as the Irie Institute, right? Well, I mean... Ooh. Come now, Dr. Irie, it's no use. We already heard it all earlier. You were saying that the Irie Institute's client is the Alphabet Project, right? I don't need to hear it from you. I already know everything. Up until just recently, Room 7 was investigating the men behind it and their means for funneling vast sums of money. The Alphabet Project was one of their tunnels. Akasaka is holding the top-secret document he got his hands on a few days ago. This document records how certain people were given public funds from ministries and government offices for assisting with various projects. These masterminds claimed they were attempting to revitalise Japan by using secret money and methods, but that was a lie even amongst themselves. The masterminds of those projects were making enormous profits off of them. If that became public knowledge, Japan would be shaken to the core and the government would be overthrown. That was what they were told, and that was the reason why the investigation was discontinued. As opposed to corruption and powerful higher-ups being able to make such decisions because they're rich and have power. Michael's eyebrows sarcastically. First of all, I want to tell you one thing. The investigation by Room 7 has been shut down and we're no longer working on the case. So I'm simply telling you what I found out in the course of the investigation. I'm on vacation here in Hinamizawa right now. I just want you to know that. Tomitake is still trying to hide his identity, but Irie isn't. He must have made up his mind, since Akasaka already knows about the Alphabet Project. It's very strange having transitioned me on here. It feels like she's a ghost who's like hovering in on every conversation. I could probably save and reload to get rid of her, but whatever. You do know that we've been using the tunnels to move vast sums of money to a research institute in Shishibone known as the Irie Institute. Also, the Irie Institute has a different name here in parentheses, the Irie Clinic. It also lists that the head of the Irie Institute is Lieutenant Colonel from the SDF, Kyosuke Irie. Lieutenant Colonel? Dr. Irie? You're in the SDF? No, I'm not. Mr. Tomitake, let me tell them. Putting our clients aside, we aren't doing anything shady. Let's not hide anything. That'll only make Oishi more suspicious. Irie is right. Oishi will help us. I'm starting to feel like even he could be our ally. That'd be incredible. Tomitake finally gave in and admitted everything. In his place, I explained to them the existence of Hinamizawa syndrome, the Irie clinic that was established to research it, what's special about myself, and about the invisible conspiracy that revolves around it all. Oishi was surprised to hear about all this, but Akasaka told him to calm down, so he listened quietly. Since he belongs to a special unit, he wasn't too surprised. He kept nodding, saying it's all very possible. This is working out great for me. Just as you say, Rika, there's a good chance there are some people who are planning something like that. Oishi, what they're saying is well within the realm of the possible. Feels like the plot of a novel. But if it's true, Compared to Akasaka, who has a flexible mind, Oishi is having a hard time understanding such unrealistic stories. He'll probably need at least 3 cigarettes before he can digest what he just learned. I think Takano's suspicious, but there's no proof. I was asking Tomitake to investigate so I can confirm my suspicions. Mr. Oishi, can you arrest and detain Takano on separate charge? I may lose my retirement money for that, but it could be done, I guess. There are some counterintelligence members from the mountain dogs at the police station. Even if you try, Oishi, there will be pressure from within the department. I'll conduct an investigation on Mr. Kano, so possible. Can you leave it to me? I don't want anyone to get suspicious. You're right. If Takano's investigation can only be done by Tomitake's institution, then the police shouldn't bother him. Besides, I have a feeling this thing is a lot bigger than we think. Oishi, I don't mean to sound rude, but maybe you should stay out of this. Akasaka, what do you mean by that? Just like you told me earlier, you're retiring this year, right? You've worked hard for many years. You're about to collect your pension. Money is important. You'll need it to pay off your house, and you need money for life after retirement. But this hill's too dangerous to climb. My instincts are telling me that at the end of it, the case will be classified as if it didn't take place at all. In other words, unless I'm prepared to lose everything, I'd better pull myself out of this, right? That's what you're telling me, isn't it? Yes. I know I'm not in a position to tell you that, but I've been involved in cases that are much different from regular police work, so what I'm saying now comes from experience. I wish he was no fool. He was also an adult and smart in the real sense. If he only listened to his pride, he would yell at Akasaka for insulting him. But what Akasaka is saying is true. Owishi's pension is a big deal for him. People live far beyond their retirement. They still have 10 or even 20 years left after that. The pension is the basis for their second life. Pension isn't ordinary money. It's very, very valuable. People receive their pension for working hard on rainy days and windy days, and even enduring the moments when their bosses give them a hard time. Even Owishi had mumbled on occasion that he's going to quit and look for a new job. Yet he endured and quietly did the unreasonable work asked of him. He's endured far more work than a salary merited. He's worked like that for a very long time, and now he's finally about to retire. He's about to collect his long-awaited pension. It's not about the amount of money itself. It's about having a value placed on what you've done with your life. So if one were to cause a scandal, the punishment for that would be placed on his pension. One such deplorable event can erase Owishi's entire life as a policeman. It's not something that can be treated lightly. Akasaka's still young. Even if he loses his job, he'll be able to find a new one. But Owishi is too old. The repayment of his mortgage was planned around his pension. Owishi's a grown-up's grown-up, and that's why he can't do anything reckless. Akasaka knows that, and that's why he said that Owishi should back down. Owishi understands it too. So Akasaka had to ask him that tough question, in order to find out how strong his commitment was. I've been awfully slow paying back my loan, all because I want to hold on to some spending money, even though I would have saved it on interest if I just paid a bit more earlier on. But I just wanted to gamble and drink. If I lived my life so I didn't have to depend on my pension in my old age, I could jump right onto this case. His fists were trembling. That's how he sheds his tears. But I'm an officer until the moment I retire. Even that doesn't matter. I promised in front of his grave. I promised that old man that I'd find out who killed him. I promised to stay a police officer until I arrest his murderer. So, being a police officer isn't the issue here. What matters is that I keep my officer spirit until I find the murderer, even if I'm fired. But am I afraid to be fired? Am I afraid to lose my pension? Sure, it'll ruin my plans for the future. I need a lot of money for them. My dream is to live an insular life, live in Hokkaido, work on a vegetable garden, have fun in Susukino, and take up ballroom dancing. But why? Is my officer's spirit so weak as all that? I've dreamt of uncovering the truth behind this series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa, and the door to that truth I've sought for so long is right here in front of me. Damn it. Why can't I just throw away my badge? Why can't I stop caring about what the police think? Damn it. Nobody could say anything in response. He's at a crossroads. The crossroads of a person who's worked so hard and so humbly for so long. How could the young people who know nothing about what he's had to go through say anything at all? Well, a friend of the departed construction site manager, right? Yes, he was a friend, a brother, and a father to me. Though it's only a formality, I am the director of the Area Institute. If the conspiracy that surrounds Rika is exposed, I'll be the one who takes the blame. Isn't that right, Tomitake? His position exists for exactly that purpose. To the Institute as a whole, Iria is simply there to cover for Takano's research. Tomitake, of course, knows about that, and even Iria has started to realise it. Even if he hadn't done anything wrong, he would have to take the blame as the person in charge of the Institute. That was how every organisation purged itself, by forcing someone to take the blame and reshuffling members. I read something about why that's like such a pervasive part of Japanese politics, and of course now I've completely forgotten it, but I guess it's the same in I say Western American European politics, but I don't think it is to the same degree. Very much very often it's, somebody steps down purely as a formality, but nothing actually changes. And there is a reason why there's that in Japanese politics and sort of economics. There's that idea that someone has to take responsibility, and they take all the blame, and that's that. Everything is shunted onto them. And I can't remember what it was that I heard now, which is annoying. That's why I need to get more money. When it's all over, I'll tell you everything about the series of mysterious deaths. I actually have an obligation to remain silent for the rest of my life, but you'll let me tell him, won't you, Tomitake? I didn't hear anything. As an honest man, Tomitake can't say yes, so pretending to ignore it was the best he could do. No, it's not right. You can tell the brave Kurado Oishi about it, the one who found the courage to help you. Cowardly Corrado Oishi, who didn't want to lose his pension, doesn't deserve to hear the truth. He faced a dilemma. Even though the truth behind the mysterious deaths he fought so hard was right in front of him, he couldn't just accept it with his head held high. To understand what he's going through, one would have to live his life. His dilemma is very vast and very heavy. Young people couldn't possibly understand. Can I have some time to think about this? I really do want to find the truth. I just need some time to gather my courage. Why is he even asking? Nobody here will force him to make up his mind. Of course, I won't either. However, he needs someone's approval. He's still passionate about his work as a police officer, yet he isn't brave enough to take on this case. He wants someone to forgive him for that. But nobody can do that, and nobody can, let them. Yes, I'll grant you that time. Can you? How long has she been here? She's arrived. I didn't even see her come in. But then again, she's always around. Hanyu is the guardian deity of Hinamizawa after all. I'll grant you some time to make your decision. You've been honest and you've been tough on yourself until today. Your life is not to be taken lightly, and that's why you're having such a hard time deciding. One should never be proud of a careless decision or brute courage. A careful judgment made by a person who's lived a worthy life like you, that's what's worth being proud of. She might sound arrogant to us, but that was exactly what he needed to hear. Right, who amongst us has the right to admonish Oishi, the eldest one here? No one should be able to. No one but Hanyu, who's been protecting humans for over 1,000 years. No matter if you decide calmly or courageously, I'll praise you, as long as your decision was made well. Never met you before, but thank you. Makes me feel better. Thank you for giving a coward like me the time of day. If it was me, I would have asked Oishi to be my ally and asked him for help, but that wouldn't have reached his heart. Wanting help is my selfish request. Don't know anything about the life he lived, and that's why my words wouldn't reach him. But Hanyu's words did. Hanyu's never told me this, but I can tell she's been watching Oishi too. She's been watching all that he went through. That's why she can say that, and why she said she could reach him. Only she can do that. Dr. Irie, there's only one thing. Please, tell me one thing. Sure, ask me anything. I've long suspected that the Sonozaki family was pulling the strings in the old man's murder case. Am I right to think that? No, you're not. You're wrong. We didn't explain everything about the series of mysterious deaths in Hinamizawa. I see. He pretended to scratch his head. For so long he pursued the case without belief, yet somebody deeply involved was telling him he'd missed the mark, so he must be feeling at least some frustration. What Irie said wouldn't be enough, so I have to continue. Oishi, none of the curses of Oyashiro-sama were done in secret by the villagers. The Sonozaki family, the 3 families, and the other villagers, none of them are involved. There were only misunderstandings, misinterpretations, coincidences, tragedies, and comedies. The real identity of the curse of Oyashiro-sama is simply a series of misinterpretations. It only looks like the villagers are acting in secret. So all the information I've gathered so far about the Sonozaki family is worthless? The heads of the Sonozaki family have a secret precept. They must always act as if they command even natural disasters. The Sonozaki family knows nothing. Moreover, they're even afraid of the incidents that occur every year. But in order to maintain their dignity, they act as though they're the ones behind everything. Oh my goodness. I see. It all makes sense now. That's true. Then that Oreo woman? Damn, she sort of said some things to mislead me. You're telling me the truth, aren't you? Yes, I am. It's written in the Frodo family's secret scrolls too. Do you want to see? I have no idea what he thinks is so funny. Nobody here can tell what's going through his mind, except the girl who's watched over human beings for over 1,000 years. I can understand why you're so happy. What do you mean? The thought that you don't have to hate anyone anymore is a very welcome concept. I don't know. Sonozaki family is still a vile organisation with its claws all over Shishibone City. That doesn't change. Been stabbed by one of them before, you know? They may not be responsible for the mysterious deaths, but they're still my enemies. That's all still true, but I just feel happy. None of us can tell if what Hanyu is saying is right. I wish he believed the Sonozaki family was behind it all. Now he's learned they're not, I'm sure he feels like everything he stands for has been made meaningless. But if Hanyu says that's not the case, to hate someone must be such a painful thing. I can't explain his laughter. All I can do is speculate. There she is, once again. Transition me on. Oishi left with a cigarette in his mouth, saying he wanted to cool off a little. We won't get anywhere until we know whether Takano is guilty or not. So we won't be able to act until after we hear the report from Tomitake. Chapter to read tomorrow. I don't know why Rika's so suspicious of Mr. Kano. Personally, I feel bad for her. But what she said makes sense too. Rika is an important person, and we can't let anyone suspicious get near her. Tomitake is making it sound like he's going to prove her innocence. I guess I can't blame him, since he's in love with her. To be honest, I'm also hoping she isn't guilty. She understands me, and she was one of my allies. I had a friendship with her. I've trusted her for over 100 years. But Hanyu says that Takano is guilty. If something pops out when we poke her, then the question is how well Tomitake can catch it. To get people to help me, I have to find proof of her guilt. So I just have to trust Tomitake for now. And Tomitake, please be very careful. If she is guilty, then you'll be in danger too. I understand. I'll move to a new hotel without letting the Institute know. I should probably leave Hinamis out immediately, but if Mr. Kano is guilty, that won't backfire. That's pretty tough, yeah. It's a cardinal rule to act normally during a secret investigation. Would you prefer to stay with me? No, that's all right. It's fine. I'll be very careful. But Rika's safety is the priority here. What should we do? What should we do? Hanyu, what should we do? Using Shogi as an example, you're like an unprotected king. As soon as Takano gets a hold of you, the game is over. One of the most important rules in Shogi is to guard the king first, right? Yes, today is Thursday. Well, Tanagashi is in 3 days. You need to hide somewhere nobody can find you until at least then. Any idea where? I think you should ask me on. That's true. Sonozaki family's underground storehouse would be an ideal place to hide. Which she already said earlier she was planning to do. Sorry, I just accidentally kicked my desk. Satoko should go with you too. If I leave her behind, they'll question her about my whereabouts. She may be in danger too. That means I'll have to tell the truth. To at least Satoko and Mion. That the comic plot we discussed wasn't just fiction. Still, I always seem to underestimate their reliability. It really is beyond my imagination. I need to talk to them. I have a feeling they'll believe me. They're my steadfast allies, after all. I'm going into hiding for a while. There's a perfect place for that at Mion's house. Will you really be safe there? Yes, it's like an air raid shelter. It has everything we need. We can easily stay there for about a month. The Sonozaki family's underground storehouse has every basic necessity, in case someone actually had to live there due to some complication or another. Mion has mentioned it before, that it's like a unique vacation house. Don't know how you can call a place with a torture room a vacation house, though. I don't know how long my investigation into Mr. Kano will take, but as soon as I find out something, I'll call Mion's house. Is that okay? That looks fine. Tell you the truth, the mountain dogs have a bug on Rika's phone for security reasons, so that works better either way. Nope. So somebody has been listening to all of my personal conversations. No, it's set up so they can tune in, but that doesn't mean they're listening to every normal conversation. They only do it when they have a security drill. Happens a few times a year. I bet my phone at the clinic is being wiretapped too, huh? Well, yes. That's because of the purpose of the facility, though. Please understand. Excuse me, how do they actually do that? Rika's landline branches off. Do you remember the little shack behind the shrine? The line leads into there, which is where they wiretap it. Usually there's no one there, but once the mountain dogs receive orders to guard her, there'll be 2 agents recording conversations in there all the time. Of course, they don't usually record anything. Is there a security drill scheduled in the near future, or orders to guard her? Security drills take place in January, April, July and October, so there's no drill this month. Orders to guard her are given only when they anticipate an emergency, but they haven't given even one since our institute was established. Who gives these orders? The director does, which is me, but Mr. Kano is a surrogate director, so she can send out orders too. If Takano really is the person who wants to kill Rika, then she used the mountain dogs to spy on her. It's very possible. So, if people do start to go in and out of that shack, it means that Takano has made her move. So we could take that as proof that tensions are building around Rika, right? I don't know if that would prove that Mr. Kano is behind it, but we can take it as a sign that danger is approaching. Indeed. Regardless of whether Takano is guilty or not, that's what it means. As long as we keep our eyes on the shack, Rika will be safe and secure. It's a great idea. But there is one problem, Rika. If there are no lights on in the house at night, it'll be obvious to everyone there's no one home. Takano doesn't even have to wiretap your phone. As soon as she sees the house, she'll realise you're skipping school and ran away. You're right, and that puts Tomitake, who's investigating Takano, in a tight spot. We'll have to think of something to counteract that. So we're dealing with having to observe the wiretapping shack, like Akasaka was saying earlier. Then there's the problem with having to keep the lights on at your house. It's also the fact that it's better for Akasaka to stay in the village. If I put all three together and mix them up, I get... I have an idea. Oh, no. You aren't thinking about letting him stay at my house, are you? No, absolutely not. My house is such a mess. It smells and it's filthy. I can't let Akasaka stay in there. No. So no. No. Why are you making such a fuss, Rika? You lost my cool there for a moment. You bah. Cheers. Just because Hanyu's insisting, okay? It's true that if Rika's house ends up empty, there won't be any lights on at night, and leaving them on would be even more suspicious. Akasaka, what do you think of staying at my house while I'm gone? I see. It's a great idea. As long as it's okay with you, Rika, let's do that. He seems to think it's a pretty good idea. Am I selfish for wanting him to get a little embarrassed about staying at my house? I should be ashamed of myself. Everything is set. Tomitaka is going to get in touch with his colleagues in Tokyo and start an investigation on Takano. That's all. That's all we can do from our end. Irie is going to lead his normal life. To act normally after something like this would be pretty difficult, but there really isn't anything else for him to do right now. Takano is sly. She'll never let Irie ruin her plans. Actually, he only comes into the picture after Takano's been exposed. I wish he didn't say he would help, but he said he wouldn't interfere with us. In fact, there are some people with ties to the mountain dogs at the police department too. It's probably best if he acts normally like Irie is. I'm going to tell Satoko the truth and hide at Mion's house for a while, starting today. I don't know how long I'll have to hide, but it'll be at least until something happens. Akasaka's going to stay at my house to make it look like I'm home, sick. If something happens, coming all the way from Okonomiya would take too long. It feels much better to have him stay in the village. Everything will begin only once Tomitake finds out something. Irie says he hopes things will get moving soon, but I don't think we need to worry about that. They'll try to kill Tomitake on the night of Watanagashi, on Sunday, 2 days from today. That's never changed in many, many worlds, so it's definitely their plan. In other words, even if he doesn't find anything, the wheels will start turning in 2 days. I'd want him again to be extremely careful, but still, if I still get killed, I'll curse your family for 7 generations after I die. It's already getting dark. Everyone went home except for Akasaka. I'm still thinking about how to tell Satoko about Akasaka and what's to come. Worrying about it won't solve anything. Rika, you have a bad habit of underestimating your friends. But how can she believe that what we talked about at school today is actually real? How can she believe me when I tell her that her life is in danger? In addition, I'm bringing home this guy she's never met before. Don't you think she'll believe you? I don't know, but it's possible she won't. Oh, so Satoko isn't your friend, is she? What? What Hanyu just said startled me. It was kind of a scary thing to hear, even though she said it while wearing her usual warm smile. I know Satoko is one of us. I think she'll believe you and become your ally against Takano. You're saying you can't trust her? It's like saying she isn't your friend. If she isn't even your friend, then why waste your time telling her about it? Oh, let's just leave her behind and go to Mion's house by ourselves. Just the two of us. What are you saying? It's nonsense. She's my best friend, and if you don't think it's worth telling her the truth, then that's it. You just think a best friend is like a stray cat that you feed every day. I'm surprised to learn that you've even Satoko live with you when you think of her like that. I didn't say that. She's my best friend, my very best. Yeah, she's even closer to me than you are. But you don't believe that she'll believe. It's the same as spouting your complaints at a stray cat you feed every day. You know the cat can't do anything, and knowing that you still complain to her, and that's all your relationship is. Poor Satoko. She believes you're her best friend, but you don't feel the same way. Oh, can you? I tried to slap Hanyu, but I couldn't touch her. My hand went through her cheek and hit only the air. Can't believe she made herself incorporeal again. Hanyu disappeared, saying ow ow in a teasing manner. I'm upset, but I can understand what she was getting at. Will your roommate agree? I'll make her agree. She has nothing to do with this conspiracy, but since she lives with me, she's going to end up involved anyway. For her sake, I have to explain this to her. Should I wait outside? No, I think it'll be better to have you with her so she doesn't think it's a joke. If I can't explain it properly, can you help? Sure, I will. I went up to the second floor with Akasaka. To be honest, I couldn't even imagine how to start bringing it up. But even Hanyu made fun of me. I can't hesitate. I made up my mind and walked into the room and was surprised. My messy room is all cleaned up. Satoko is packing her pyjamas and towels into her duffel bag. It's as if she's going on a camping trip. Satoko, I'm home. Here, I got your luggage ready too. We can't just borrow toothbrushes and towels from Mion, you know? Besides, we can't let some strange man stay in a messy room either. This is why I always tell you to tidy things up around here. I blinked in surprise. I don't understand why Satoko already knows what's going on. If she saw me, Irie, and Tomitake talking behind the shrine with Oishi and a strange man, she'd be sure to get curious. She must have overheard our conversation. Not only that, she packed her luggage and cleaned our room, which means she already knows Akasaka's going to stay in this house. She must have come home in a hurry to get things done. So it wasn't just a storyline for some comic, was it? Meep. You know, that's what I don't like about you, Rika. Have I ever doubted you before? I always thought that I was your best friend, that you count on me before anyone else. I'm sorry. She doesn't seem that angry. Rather, she seems shocked that what we talked about at school is real. She isn't really that upset. But this is exactly what Hanyu said. I thought she was my best friend, yet I couldn't trust her completely. Having realised this, I apologised. She turned around as if to tell me there's no time for apologies. I think she accepted it. As proof of that, she's getting things ready to go to Mion's house. Thank you, Satoko. Akasaka, is it? I don't know how you and Rika know each other, but if you're Rika's ally, then you're mine too. You can call me Satoko Hojo. Nice to meet you. I'm Akasaka. Conspiracy surrounding Rika runs pretty deep, and it's not easy to explain. She was afraid he'd reject her after she confessed to everyone, so please try to understand how she felt too. Of course I understand. I'm her best friend, you know? She was thinking that if I didn't believe her, who would? I can understand why she'd be afraid. You're really mature, Satoko. Rika's lucky to have you as a best friend. I'm pretty envious of her. Satoko took Akasaka around the house and explained everything. She let him know that the switch of hot water sticks a little, and that if the picture on the TV gets messed up, he needs to tap on it. She even told him about all the traps she set around the shrine using a secret map of hers. He listened to her dead seriously. Upon seeing them talk, I couldn't help but smile. Hanyu also smiled while watching us, but it felt like she was saying, I told you so. I'm going to pretend that I don't notice her. If our contrarian Satoko believed me this easily, then our simple-minded Mion will believe us even more easily. Keiji doesn't even know how to doubt people, and Rin has sharp instincts, so she'll believe me too. So everyone is going to believe me, huh? Hanyu didn't reply, but she smiled as if she's happy to see that I grew up a little. Where's Shion? Where's Shion gone? Alright, there's plenty of things in the refrigerator. Rika, you're asking him to house sit, so why don't you make dinner for him tonight? Besides, just to be safe, perhaps you should go over to Mion's house a little later. Oh, don't worry, I can handle that myself. Oh, this is a chance to serve him your homemade food, Rika. You really are annoying today. Oh, right, Satoko, we have to make something good, huh? I have an idea. Can you bring out the large kimchi bottle from the refrigerator? Not that one. The one that says death penalty, not the one that says punishment. Let's make kimchi fried rice today. Do you like spicy food? Oh, yes. I love spicy things. Oh. Cream puffs in the refrigerator have expired, so let's throw them away. Ah, what a waste. Heard they're from a famous shop over in Gogura. Oh. That owl's awfully loud today. Maybe a stray dog's howling somewhere. Night is falling on the 16th of June. The pieces are lining up on the final game board one after another. No, pieces isn't the right word to call them. Night is falling on the 16th of June. We're getting reliable allies for this final challenge. Our first key, Tomitake, will be killed in 3 days. Fate is going to change before that point. They said, hopefully. Achievement. Setting up the pieces. Give me tips. None of them. Actually, is there an achievement for tips this time around? There is. Okay. Given that... Has that got rid of transition Mion? If it doesn't, no it hasn't, okay. Oh, I wanted to get a screenshot there, whoops. going to exit to menu and reload, see if that, not even that, get rid of transition me on. She's stuck here forever. Okay, I'm gonna close the game and reopen it because it takes about 3 seconds to open. God bless you, incredibly light on the benefit, I guess, of like text-based games is that less worrying about how long it takes things to open. No matter what you do, I'm gonna get rich. No way, no way. No, you're not used to it. No way, no way. Okay. See if this lets us in with transition me on. Nope, we're free from her. There's some friends. Miss Frude and Miss Frude and Hojo are absent today because they both have colds. I'll click back into the game. Weather is changing, so it's easy to get sick. Make sure you cover yourselves when you go to sleep, okay? Okay. Oh, they live together, so I guess they call it together. Rika's supposed to perform as a shrine maiden on the day of Higurashi. I hope she'll be okay, I hope. We're planning to have lots of fun at the festival. I hope they recover by tomorrow somehow. Hey, do you want to go see them on our way home? Maybe you can bring something healthy for them to eat too. We don't need to. By the way, can you two stop by this old man's house today? Mian usually enjoys ideas like bringing people food when they're sick. For whatever reason, she was a little curt today. Actually, she's been acting a little different since this morning. Even when I talked to her, her thoughts seemed somewhere else. Now she's asking Rena and I to stop by at her house. Your house, Mian? What for? Well, I need to talk to you about something important. I can't tell you right now, though. She seemed calmer than usual, which told me it was about something very serious. There are always lots of patients running into the clinic just before lunchtime. Because of that, lunchtime at the clinic is always later than normal people's. It's just a short break, though. Our afternoon shift begins right away. The staff are enjoying their break, eating their delivery lunches. They can eat basically anywhere they want, as long as the patients can't see them, and it's not somewhere we need to keep sterile. Because it's hot and humid, the meeting room with its air conditioner ends up being a popular place. The staff will eat their takeout lunches there. As I'm the director of this clinic, they might feel uncomfortable eating with me around. So I usually eat my lunch in the director's office out of consideration for them. Today I ordered lunch from the soba shop. I got an extra large serving of mori soba, that is. For whatever reason, they just call the dish an extra large. Makes ordering it complicated, since if I order an extra large and a kitsune udon, they'll just deliver an extra large kitsune udon instead. But is this really a large? Looks more like a regular size to me. As I recall, the owner of the restaurant has hurt her hip, so she must be having a hard time keeping things running. I was still thinking about that when Mr. Kano came in. She was carrying a really large-sized order in her hands. Apparently she ordered a regular mori soba, and I grabbed the wrong one by mistake. What a hassle. It's easy to confuse them, isn't it? They should use some kind of mark, you know. I agree. For example, they can put a flag like the one on the kids' meal that says large size. Mr. Kano must have liked that idea. She laughed for a while. Would you like to join me? I invited her to sit on the sofa. Are you sure? Thank you, but could you turn the air conditioning down just a little? Sure, sorry about that. Here we go. Come to think of it, I haven't really talked too much with her. We were rather distant from one each other, partly over the guilt of the organisation becoming the Area Institute. So with that in our respective positions, we had a tacit agreement not to pry too deeply into each other. Since our attitude towards a research are different, we've never mingled before, so chatting over lunch is a good way to get close to her. And what she likes to talk about while eating. Guess I should start a peaceful conversation. I don't want her to go off about something like tapeworms. We're having lunch, after all. When I tried to come up with a topic, she started talking instead. Flag on a kid's meal. That brings back memories. Do you think they still have those flags, though? I don't know. It's one of those things that endure, so it's possible they'll keep having flags on kids' meals even in the far future. Maybe even an in-flight kids' meal on a spaceship will have a flag on it. Sounds interesting. Wonder if kids will collect those flags even in the future. Flags? Did you collect them? Didn't you do that when you were kids? Collect the flags from kids' meals? No way. When I was young, only rich kids could have meals like that. My family couldn't afford it. It's not true. My family was poor, but when we went to the mall, you had our lunch at a restaurant there. The time for me to go to a mall meant having a kids' meal. So whenever my parents went to the mall without me, I'd get very upset. Childhood sounds happy. But when they went to the mall without me one day, they got into an accident and died. Until I got a call about it, I was upset with them for going without me, and I was sure they were having a meal there by themselves. As it happened, I only needed one more flag to make my collection complete. Collecting 20 of them was my goal. I was so upset that I couldn't complete my collection. It's awful, huh? It must have been horrible to lose her parents at the age when she was still interested in collecting flags from kids' meals. It's obviously still a painful memory for her. I see. I didn't know. By the way, is that why you became a doctor? Huh? Why? Well, I aim to become a doctor because of reasons involving my family, so thought that could be true for you too. I earned my medical license because it was necessary to draw closer to the Hinamizawa syndrome. It might be rude to put it this way, but I only obtained my license as a byproduct of pursuing my research. Interesting. Even when she's still at medical school, she already knew about Hinamizawa syndrome. By the way, before I took on this job, I didn't know anything about it. Where did you find out about it? I was told you read something about it while you were looking at the late Dr. Takano's documents. I'm impressed you already started to research it while you were at school. I was told you took up all of my time when I was a student. That's incredible. Actually, I became familiar with Hinamizawa syndrome long before that. What does she mean? How old was she when she first found out about the syndrome? In fact, why was she familiar with it at all? Just like Stoko and Rika, I didn't have any relatives, so I was sent to an orphanage. It's a horrible place. You remember how there was a flood of war orphans back then? I was in a truly orphanage built solely to gather up those children and bring in government subsidies. When I escaped from there, I was rescued by my grandfather, Dr. Takano. So you actually lived with him? I see. Now I understand why you're familiar with his research documents at a young age. But why do you keep it a secret? Political reasons. It's one thing to request funding for research on a mysterious disease, but it's another thing to request it for a research project of my late grandpa's. I see. Finally, a question is answered. The admiration you've shown when discussing Dr. Takano was always more than just respect for a fellow researcher. Still, since you respect him that much, he must have been a wonderful doctor with many genuine virtues. I don't know about genuine virtues. He died alone of an illness with nobody around to understand him. He preferred being alone, which is a bad habit of his. That was why he couldn't find anyone who'd support him. Still, he had you for an excellent assistant, didn't he? Speaking of which, your family name is read the same way as his, isn't it? It's not my real family name. I took my grandfather's out of respect. I actually wanted to write it the same way, but I thought it could get complicated while explaining it to my characters, so I ended up using different characters. Lord, doing all these different voices really fucks my throat up. Now I could see the connection between their two last names. That also revealed the connection between first names, Hifumi and Mio too. She doesn't need to tell me anything more than that. She lost her parents when she was young, and Dr. Takano took her in and loved her as if she was his own child. To show her love and respect, she decided to call him grandfather. Now I know. That's the reason why she's devoted herself to researching Hinamizawa syndrome. Now I understand how she must feel, knowing her research is soon to be terminated. Rika had said that she was hurt. Although I didn't know anything about it, I may have said something to hurt her before. I only cared about treatment and extermination and didn't care about anything else until today. She must have considered that blasphemous towards her grandfather. Now I know why she became aggressive every time I expressed how I felt. After she was told that her research would be terminated, she stayed up all night and gathered up lots of documents. She went to Tokyo and requested an extension without depending on anyone else, and the request was rejected. The documents she used are now in a box in the underground storage. She must have exerted a lot of effort to put them together. Even someone without any knowledge of our research could easily understand what she was trying to say. But it looked like some of those documents weren't even opened, and some had marks that told me they weren't treated the way they're supposed to be. I'm sure some pages had absorbed her tears without me ever knowing. I heard from Tokyo that Mr. Kano had left a terrible impression with the board of directors. It's not easy to overturn a bad impression. In other words, she can never request an extension on her research ever again. I was there when she found out about it. I was there when she found out she could no longer continue her grandfather's research, even though she must have promised him that she would complete it. But I'm going to sneeze again. Are you going to continue researching on your own after the Irie Institute shuts down? By the time the Irie Institute closes, the Hinamizawa syndrome will have been eradicated. Should I preserve the pathogen in a petri dish, kidnap someone and infect them to research it? On my own? Without equipment, funding, or a lab? Should I continue the research, held up in a study filled with the smell of formalin, and never recognised or acknowledged by anyone, just like my grandfather, so someone else can ridicule it? What would you have a loser like me, who lacks the youth and energy anymore, do to continue it? Mr. Tomitake once told me the Iria Institute was supposed to be the Takano Institute, but our clients didn't like the idea of a young woman heading the facility, and that's why I was invited. That explains why she's been unfriendly since the day we met. Must have been blasphemy to her to see me go on about Hinamizawa syndrome and decided on a research plan according to my values and morals. To Takano, the syndrome is her grandfather. She must feel his presence when she's researching it. That's the reason why she often stays at the institute until late tonight, even though it makes the mountain dogs annoyed as they serve security here. Would you like to drink some of the sober broth? Ah, yes, please. Her shoulders looked too fragile to me for the first time, and now I'm sure of Rika's story. Mr. Kano holds an indescribable sadness within her, and if someone approached her, pretending to understand, she might just fall for it. Because in my position, anything I say to her will only hurt her more, probably. This is the thing, like, Takano is absolutely the villain in this situation. Like, she's not doing a good thing, but, like, at the same time, I don't know, I can blame her, but, like, I don't necessarily say that, like, I can understand her, because that's not right either, but, like, you know, she's not, you know, I don't know how to word it. I don't know how to turn my thoughts into words that make any sort of logical sense ever. So I'm gonna get distracted by taping my lights back onto my desk, my screen. Sometimes words can harm people no matter how they're used, but the fact that I still spoke up showed how little experience I had in life. We could at least give the research you'd like to pursue a little more of a future budget. We managed to gain another 3 years from them at least, so we can give those 3 years our best. It's all a slip. Even as I spoke, I started to regret trying to say anything. I appreciate the sentiment, but it's even harder to watch someone fall ill and waste away over 3 long years. If I remembered right, Dr. Takano came down with acute dementia, chose to commit suicide while his mind was still functional, out of despair at his inability to continue his research further. My verbal slip had made her remember a painful memory and hurt her even more. He went into a coma and I had to make the decision as to whether to turn the life support off or not. Hey, Director Irie. If you were the doctor in charge of that patient, who would you have pull the plug? You wouldn't pull the plug yourself, would you? Mr. Kano asked me that, as if it was a normal question. She was only expecting to hear one answer. If I was put into that position, then when the time came, I'd probably let his remaining family do it. That's what I thought. There's no way someone wouldn't be there for their family's final moments, so I'll be here for the final moments of Hinamizawa syndrome, no matter what. Someone knocked on the door, and I heard the voice of one of our other staff members. Director, afternoon shift's beginning. Please get ready. Oh, okay. I'll be right there. I'll clean up. Why don't you go? Lots of elderly people are waiting to chit-chat with you. Mr. Kano laughed, but I know the laugh was trying to conceal her anguish. I'm not close to her personally, but she is my partner here at the clinic. I've been trying to avoid getting close to her, but maybe that was a mistake. If I'd listened to her more, maybe I could have eased her pain a little. But it's too late. Tomitake is conducting an investigation to prove her innocence. Is she guilty or not? Either way, her heartache remains. After Irie left, Takano sat down on the sofa again and stared at nothing for a while. Then she got up and picked up the phone on the desk. This is Takano. Is Okunogi there? It's me. I was going to ask you to start on the 20th, but please begin observing art today instead. Eh? What difference does it make? Are you going to tell me it's too hot to start today? Yes, please do. We only have 5 days. You'd better be careful. More than careful, okay? Yeah, alright. Okay, goodbye. Okunogi put down the phone and sighed. Although it's his job to do whatever Takano wants, he still couldn't help but complain about getting such an order on such an extremely hot day. Of course, if he complained, Takano would spit back twice as much reproach. Okunogi was sitting in the office of Okunogi Gardeners, a dummy company. As it happened, they regularly did gardening in Hinamizawa, if only so that nobody would get suspicious to see their uniforms and vans around. This is the thing that I find super fascinating, is that it's like triple buff. Like in Reina's chapter, there's Okunogi Gardeners, and she gets the wrong number, she calls them and she finds out they're a fake company and she begins to suspect them, but we're sort of like, oh no, it was actually a real company and, you know, they're legit all along. Surprise, biatches, they're actually a dummy company. Psyched. Good grief, I give up. Call the Nightingale and Skylark. Their vacations are cancelled. Princess has given us the order to start observing art today. We'll have to move the schedule up by 3 days. First day was Heron, right? Go with a group of 4, including 1 telephone observer, 1 telephone backup, 1 residence lookout, and 1 residence backup. Heron leader, you'll be at the command post. Also, we're stepping up a sabotage of the telephone station too. That would have been Nightingale's job, but it'll take a whole day for them to get here, so we'll use Phoenix instead. Phoenix 7, gather up a construction team and finish by tonight. Can you do it? Of course. My men are well trained. The Mountain Dogs are different from a regular battle unit. They're a technical squad formed from specialists in different fields of espionage. They were covert operatives of sabotaging telephone stations like Okanoki just described, ones for wiretapping, intelligence gathering, information manipulation, establishing networks at public institutions, and many others in various specialised fields. They belong to the self-defence squad. Some of them from fire departments, some are from police departments, and some are civil engineers. Of course, they have some experts in combat as well. Okanoki is one of those combat experts, and you didn't expect too much from the engineers. While they'd all gone through the same basic training, what they were capable of was child's play compared to what an expert could do. Okanoki is the leader of a unit made up mostly of members who can't even do 100 push-ups. Really, that was the only complaint he had. He'd rather have put charge of the Bloodhounds, but somehow he became leader of this strange unit, maybe because of his cautious yet courageous personality. Since combat was his expertise, he wished deeply for combat. During the kidnapping incident 5 years ago, the plan was for the resisting criminals to leave the hostage behind on the scene and run after the police stormed in. He recalled the extremely frustrating memory of his combat with that plainclothes officer. That old man was acting so arrogantly, but he could have taken him within a matter of seconds. Could have just broken his neck. He could have turned him around and snap. It would have been so easy for him. He remembered a young policeman too. He shot at him in the shoulder, but he could have shot at his ear. He was told to go easy on them, so that was the best he could do. He thought of firing a second shot, but there just wasn't time. So the last shot he fired was that reluctant one. He couldn't believe that such a pathetic battle was his last combat job. Regardless, he continued to train so that he was ready at any time. Shuffling around to sit more comfortably so that my knees hurt less. Now that the operation had begun, he was hoping there'd be battle for him to fight. He didn't even need to fire a shot. He didn't even need to punch anyone. All he wanted was a battle that satisfied his pride. Nothing more. Yes, one moment, please. Commander, there's a phone call for you. I don't know if it's for the Commander or the President, though. He's also the President of Okanoki Gardeners. Because of that, the members of the Mountain Dogs often call him that. Just a minute, I'll get my accent back. What, really? How about that, huh? And who is it anyway? It's a woman. She says her name is Nomura. She's asking for President Okanoki. Then that's for the Commander. I'll take it in my office. Please, transfer it over. Rattle, rattle, crash. I heard a noise which sounded like many buckets crashing down. It's probably a noise from one of Stoko's traps. According to her trap map, anyone going near the wiretapping shack will set off a trap that makes a loud noise. That must have been it just now. I scouted around the shack last night before the girls left. It's very secluded and is located in a blind spot where nobody is likely to go. So this noise means something important. It means they've started their observations of Rika. I can't let her notice the girls aren't home. They'll definitely call and come by to confirm they're here. So I have to make sure they think the girls are sick in bed and that they don't hear the phone or the doorbell. The curtains are closed so they can't see what's inside of the house. But to be certain, their beds are stuffed to make it look like they're sleeping. However, I have to be even more careful from now on. I can't let them notice that I'm staying here. For that matter, I have to make sure I can act when something happens. The phone rang suddenly. Just as I expected. They're calling to see if anyone's home. They're already aware they didn't go to school, so they're probably assuming that they're homesick in bed. I'm sure they want proof of that. The phone rang for a long time, which convinced me it was indeed a call from the Mountain Dogs. If there was no answer on the phone, then the next step would be to come by the house. They'll pretend to be a mailman or a neighbour and knock on the door, but I don't even need to answer it. If the girls are too sick to answer the phone, then they won't notice a knock on the door either. The increased hassle means a higher risk of discovery, but on the other hand, it also proves our enemy is closing in on us. It was actually better for me, so I could measure the severity of the situation. Besides, Rika is our ally, and he already knows Rika somewhere else. He's supposed to tell them he came by because he heard Rika and Stoko miss school, and that the two of them were in bed and should be left alone for a while. He's supposed to say that. They won't doubt Irie. They'll believe him. Could call this an advanced level of mutual deceit. They believe they're deceiving Irie, but in reality he's deceiving them. But they're professionals, and we're a bunch of amateurs. Not me, at least. Oops, wrong button. Actually, maybe I'm not an exception. I don't know what they've got until I come face to face with them. Our conditions aren't even. We're leading by a tiny bit because we made the first move. Once that's gone, we don't stand a chance. I promised Rika that I trust her unconditionally. So even without proof, I'm ready to fight. But I can't beat this conspiracy by myself. And to gain help from the others, Tomitake has to find proof. He's in charge of our first attack. That means he's in the most danger too. It's understandable that Rika kept warning him to be careful. He should have started an investigation as early as last night. That's the reason why they've begun observing Rika. I can only pray for his safety and the success of the investigation. I heard a voice. Irie had arrived. Stoko, Rika, I'm here to give you an examination. I heard footsteps coming up the stairs and a quiet knock. I'm alone, don't worry. We have to keep it down. This house is already under observation. I let Irie in and closed the door quickly. How are you? It must be getting hot in here since you can't open the windows, huh? Brought something for you. He handed me a plastic bag. Contained ice cream, cans of juice, some snacks, and a beer. Well, this obviously isn't for Rika. Purely's being a little careless, but I am grateful. Rika just drink though, we know that. So how is everything? Pardon me. I heard a noise from the wiretapping shack earlier, and the phone rang for a long time shortly afterwards. I'm sure they found out that the girls missed school today and called in to check. Has anyone asked you to come check on them? Yes. Mr. Kano told me to go check, since they missed school and haven't come by the clinic. I knew it. Do you think she's suspicious about their absence? No, I think it has something to do with Tomitake stopping his investigation. Even if it doesn't, this may give him a chance to find out something. Either way, it's already begun, hasn't it? Yes, more than likely. I don't know if our enemies are Takano and the Mountain Dogs, or somebody else. Either way, that someone has started to take action. Can't help but think of a series of mysterious deaths. First years were just coincidences, but starting with the third, I think Mr. Kano became intrigued and started expecting something to happen on the night of Higurashi. It's the day after tomorrow. It'd be the perfect opportunity for them to do something. She's aiming for Rika on the 5th year running. This Takano is a frightening woman. What Rika said about Mr. Kano, I think it's all true. Just found out today, but she was adopted by Dr. Takano, the one who discovered the syndrome. Same pronunciation, huh? I see. To her, continuing the research of the syndrome was like a promise she made to him. But as the project will be terminated, it's almost like they're spitting on his grave. It's exactly what Rika said, isn't it? Yes. Also, she said something else. She compared a dying patient in a coma to the project that's going to end in 3 years. She says that family members have the right to turn off the switch of the life support machine. If the project is being terminated anyway, Mia Takano, who considers herself a family of the late Dr. Takano, should be the one to terminate it. Yes, I think that's what she meant. We're gathering circumstantial evidence we need. Takano is, in fact, our enemy. Irie had been reluctant to accept it yesterday, but now he believes that what Rika has said is true. I've completely forgotten how to speak English, I apologise. We need Tomitake to find some proof that shows Mr. Kano is planning something. Then we can call in a subjugation squad to arrest all those involved. Takano has some mountain dogs working for her. The squad can down even them. Yes, I don't know anything about them, but there's another unit called the Bloodhounds. They're a combat unit, deployed in the case of a true emergency. The mountain dogs are more of an intelligent unit for covert operations, so they'll likely be far outmatched. The subjugation squad was organised to counter the off-chance rebellion by the Secret Research Institute. They must be quite powerful. So you're saying our conditions for victory are summoning these bloodhounds into Hinamizawa? That would be correct. However, my concern is that the emergency manual contains passages authorising the massacre of the villagers to preserve secrecy. I'm still worried that even if the bloodhounds are brought in, they'll destroy all evidence, including the village itself, which wouldn't be any different. No, they wouldn't. The enemy's intent is to trigger the execution of the emergency manual. This doesn't make sense. If the conspiracy is caused by a faction infighting, then Irie Institute's clients will want to resolve the conflict quietly. They're sure to rid the enemies and settle everything while the villagers are still confused to what's going on. I know this because I've done similar jobs myself. Okay, I'm gonna have to reread that because I totally was not thinking. So Irie's worried that they will destroy evidence, and Akasaka says that they wouldn't because their enemy's intent is to trigger the execution of the emergency manual, and they will want to resolve any potential conflict quietly without something dramatic, one presumes, like the mass execution. They'll pass through like a gale and complete operation swiftly. This is a complete aside, but I was doing one of the Heaven's Ward raids the other day, and I was right. This piano song that's playing is not the same, but it is very, very similar to the theme song for Heaven's Ward. And every so often it goes into a piece and I want to start like singing the Heaven's Ward lyrics along. I can't remember what the name of the song is, but you know the one. They'll pass through like a gale and complete their operation swiftly. And a unit capable of pulling that off against the mountain dogs must be very powerful. We'll just have to wait until we hear from Tomatake. Yes, this will be a battle of endurance, but once it lights up, it'll become a blitzkrieg. This will be a hard battle with rapid shifts in pace. It's reassuring to us that you're in the enemy's midst, but at the same time you're in a very vulnerable position. Please, don't let your guard down. The moment we decide to be Rika's allies, we became their enemies. I understand. The phone at this hour is of course being wiretapped, so Irie has to come over to communicate with me. But that won't work in an emergency. Telephone is still better in that case. For those instances, I put together a memo for Irie. There's a method for communicating over a phone that's been bugged. Something I came up with out of necessity once. What is this? A method for calling me in case of emergency. Please, make sure that the enemy doesn't get a hold of it. If you're in danger, swallow it. The phone's being tapped, so how can we make a call? If you pick up the phone, even if you don't say anything, they might get suspicious. We can communicate even without me picking up the phone. There's a little trick to it, but we can at least send across what's important. And you're the only one who can do it, since you'll be the first person who notices their movements. Alright, then how do I do it? It's in the memo. Let me explain briefly. We use the ringtone. When you make a call, normally you won't let the phone ring over a minute. We use that to communicate. If the phone rings for a minute, that means it's dangerous, leave. If the phone rings for a minute and a half, that means it's an emergency, head to the Sonozaki residence. Difference in those is 30 seconds. You can look at the memo for other messages you can send, but please memorise those two at least. My life depends on it. Message that lets me know my life is in danger is the shorter call, but if it's too short, I'll get it confused with regular phone calls. That's why to signal me, you're supposed to hang up the phone within 3 seconds first, then place the emergency call. The reason why I use such a large difference of time is to make sure there's no misunderstanding. The tones the caller hears and the rings the receiver sends out are a little different. Don't want that little difference to change the message, which is why they had to be 30 seconds apart. Short ring first and 1 minute means run. Minute and a half means to head to where Rika is. Okay, I got it. It's a little troublesome, I know, but this is just for emergencies. Please remember it. Yes, I understand. When danger strikes, I'll handle communications. One more thing I want you to remember. It's not very good code, but please don't forget it just the same. For this one, you don't need to do one short ring. You just need to let the phone ring for over 3 minutes. It's probably best to just place the call and leave it. What does that mean? Contact in danger, further contact impossible. So that's to tell you that I'm in danger then? Yes. In case of an emergency, call this house, leave the phone off the hook and hide somewhere safe. Even so, it's hard to anticipate when you yourself will be in danger. You'll lose your chance to call when you're thinking, I'm still fine or I'm probably fine. If you said something odd, that's an emergency. Knowing the seriousness of the conspiracy, they won't hesitate to kill us. Please, be very careful. I understand, but if that happens, what are you going to do? Depends on the situation, but I'll probably leave this house. If you're in danger, then Rika is too. I'll head to the Sonozaki residence and join her. But this is only in the worst case scenario. I'm not sure if it will actually happen, so don't be nervous. Relax, okay? But also be very careful, right? That's right. Irie nodded deeply. It's almost time. Something's about to happen. Just had the abrupt and overwhelming craving for a bottle of white wine. For some reason I'm really warm. I'm like overheating. And I had the abrupt craving to hang out in a garden or on a patio of some sort and drink some white wine. Oh, that sounds so nice right now. When I lived in my old flat, my outdoor area was a fire escape. And what I would do in the summer if it got too warm is I would open up my door and then I had like a folding chair that I kept for on the rare occasion I had visitors. I think my mum bought it when I moved in and I didn't have a table or chairs yet. I just had my desk chair, so I sat on that and mum sat on the folding chair anyway. I'd prop that up so that it was like half in, half out the flat. And then I could put, like if I was snacking on anything, I could put that on like the windowsill next to me. Or like I could put my glass of wine up there and I could like sit with like half in, half out the flat and look out over like the gardens because I was out the city, I was in the suburbs, so it wasn't a particularly good view, but like it was just a bunch of nothingness because there was nothing there, which is neat. I could sort of see the river and over to the other suburb towns. But it was really nice in winter, a glass of wine, and I said winter, I meant to say summer. That flat was awful in winter. The windows were double glazed, but they weren't very well insulated, and the insulation in the rest of the flat was kind of very shitty. It was, a lot of it was outer facing walls, and it would get absolutely freezing in winter. And the problem was that both my bed and my desk, the two places where I spent most of my time, were right next to an outside facing wall and right next to a window, so I got permanent drafts. And it's like, it was great in summer and this is awful in winter. Anyway, so that's it. I'm gonna hit a save just in case. Does anyone have any questions? I have plenty of questions. This could easily be one of those well-planned pranks. What I heard is just that extraordinary. But right now, it's a bad idea to ask questions just out of curiosity. That'd be a waste of time. Mian has already explained everything about the events surrounding Rika. Well, I have a few things to ask myself as a successor to the head of the Sonozaki family, because all this has something to do with a series of mysterious deaths. I'm trying to think. So the first one, it seems like, was literally just an argument that got out of hand. The second one really was Satoko's paranoia. That's what I was looking for. The third one was oh my god, I've lost all of my words. The third one was Takano interfering to get rid of Rika's parents because there was a potential they'd get in the way of the research. And the fourth one was Satoshi striking out and then running away or being disappeared. I really want to know what happened to Satoshi. That's like one of the biggest questions that we've not yet had answered, is what happened to Satoshi and what happened to the murderer of the first year, because like in second and third it seems pretty obvious that in the second year Satoko's mum probably just washed down and her body was never found. Same thing in the third year with Rika's mum. It was just the dads, the bodies were found, the mothers were. It seems pretty obvious that they're dead, and their bodies were never found, but could be completely wrong there. In the murder of the first year, my guess is that he just was on the lam and managed to survive, but I'm really struggling with the like how it could have. I don't know what could have happened to Satoshi. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna super quickly look it up just to see if there's something really obvious that I'm missing here. Oh, I have to deal with the fandom website, my least favorite. God, I just really hate using the fandom website. It's pretty shit, but it does have the best information. Okay. In the question asks, there remains uncertainty as to where he's disappeared. According to Miyakashi Hen, he was last seen at a Nagoya train boarding the Shinkansen for Tokyo, but no evidence exists to confirm that rumour. It may be a false tip to justify the expansion of the police's search. It's the same as how Mion orders a false report on Sumihoroboshi to cover for Reina. Okay, I just did myself a spoil, but it's not something that I don't know yet. And it's not a huge spoiler, it's not like a world-shattering spoiler. It has to do with a series of mysterious deaths, but I won't go into that for now. All in all, it was a good idea to come to my house. You can survive a nuclear war here in our basements. There's electricity and a telephone in there too. Of course, we have plenty of food as well. If the mountain dogs are really that tough, this house is the only place in the village that's safe from them. I'm sorry to have involved all of you in this. Rika apologised from the bottom of her heart. Rika's been dealing with a strange disease, this Hinamizawa syndrome, as well as all these suspicious Tokyo people, all by herself until today. She's been trying not to get us involved, and that's why she dealt with them all by herself. We can all imagine what she must have been feeling, so none of us can even think of anything to say. The silence went on for a while, but then Hanyu clapped Rika on the back. Rika, you've been apologising so much since yesterday. Oh my god, that dress is so cute. Froggy dress. Froggy dress, oh my god. If you apologise one more time, you'll have to treat me with a cream puff every day. Besides, we all feel bad, don't we? Am I wrong, Keiichi? Hanyu suddenly addressed me. I could tell from her eyes she was expecting something from me. Right, my role is to act as flint for the other club members. It's my job to burn strong and bright red to get everyone excited. What have I been doing just sitting around? That's right, Rika. We never even thought none of this could be true, so we were just shocked for the moment. But we're all thinking that things are getting interesting. Right, guys? Stoko, this right here is the real deal. Got some good traps lying in wait, don't you? I know you've been hiding amazing ones for special occasions like these. This is a perfect chance to try them out, don't you think? Oh, you should be grateful for my presence. I don't know who they are, but if it's alright to get serious, then I won't hesitate to launch the countless miraculous traps I refrained from using on our club members. That's right. Your traps come with me on seal of approval. They can chase away even a real army. Well, Stoko aside, you're pretty merciless yourself, Reina. You're usually so easygoing, but I know your true power. When you get serious, you might be the most powerful of us all. You sure are something. I don't even think even I can defeat you. Oh, stop. Your explosive impact is incredible too, Keiichi. Power can defeat a fate that I'd have no chance against. You know what I mean? Keiichi is a furious red flame, then Reina is the quiet blue one. Hey, it's a good one. Burning Red Ranger, Keiichi Maebara. Burning Blue Ranger, Reina Ryugu. This is our chance to show the world what we've got. Sorry that my voice broke in the middle of that. We're a powerful team with a powerful leader. Right, Neil? We're already powerful individually, and when we gather, we're invincible. That's our club, right guys? You know, I kept quiet thinking I might be imprudent, but actually I've been thinking. This is getting super interesting. I appreciate this, Rika. Thank you for giving us this opportunity. How dare they even think of stepping into Hinamizawa without saying hello to us? I'll make sure to teach them some manners. It had only been 5 minutes since Rika apologised to everyone and brought the mood down, yet our morale was already at its peak again. We're up against such an absurd conspiracy, but if we're together, I think we can defeat it. This is the best feeling ever. Hanyu was the one who started all of this. She's quite the promising newcomer. She knew exactly who amongst us to get motivated first. Moreover, even our senior members were hesitant about taking on such a huge opponent somewhere in our hearts, she alone remained unflinching and raised our spirits. She's likely to grow even more formidable in the future. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for believing me. Of course we believe you. I told you that already. If we didn't, we wouldn't be your friends. There's no need to thank us, Rika. Yeah, she's right. Listen to Hanyu. You've got great spirit. I like you. Ow. I rubbed Hanyu's head. She laughed as if I was tickling her. Okay, then let's huddle. We have to get things organised. First, Rika and Satoko are supposed to be absent from school because they're sick, but in reality they're hiding here. This is just a preventative measure. Nobody would even guess they were hiding here, thanks to a certain Akasaka. How nice of him. He came because of the promise he made 5 years ago. It's kind of cool. Oh, I'm a little jealous. He isn't my type, but I'm a little jealous too. It's not like that though. Oh, poor Rika. He works for public safety at the police headquarters in Tokyo and belongs to a secret unit, right? Sure sounds reliable. Being part of a secret unit makes it sound even better too. Akasaka's very strong. He's definitely reliable. But Akasaka's role is more of a protective one in case of emergency. Tomitake has the more important role about finding things out about our enemy. He's our true attacker. Plus, he's the only one who can call in the bloodhounds to take out our enemies. In other words, he's our key to victory. It's a bit unsettling to think that so much is riding in the hands of some dumb cameraman. Everyone teased her by saying they're going to tell Tomitake she called them that. It's not that I don't expect him to succeed, but I think we should come up with another tactic, just in case. But Hanyu, what else can we do other than count on Tomitake? No, Hanyu's right. Tomitake is a key factor from the enemy's point of view too. If they found out he's investigating them, they might even have him killed. This is enemy territory for him too, after all. I think we should come up with something else instead of just depending on him. Very true. It's hard to score with just one trap. I usually set many traps to deal with, many different possibilities. It's just basic tactics, you know? That's true. There's no need to limit ourselves to just one angle of attack. We should look into other methods besides what Tomitake is doing. But we don't know anything about Tokyo, do we? Well, if one of Tomitake's important jobs is to summon the Bloodhounds, I'd like him to teach us how to call them. Then, even if he's taken out by the enemy, we can still meet our victory conditions. Yeah, sounds about right. Tomitake is really important. At the same time, he's our Achilles heel. Let's talk to him and get him to tell us how to contact the Bloodhounds. Problem is, he's holed up somewhere in the city and there's no way for us to get hold of him. I think that's a great idea, though. Next time we get a chance to talk to Tomitake, let's ask him. So that's the first plan. Is there anything else? Before we knew it, Hanyu was making sure we moved along with our proceedings. Reina noticed that too, giving a pleasant smile to the girl trying to be a part of our group. I love Hanyu. She may actually have become one of my favourite characters in this entire series. She's very sweet. This one is just insurance in case something happens to Tomitake. Let's think of a different angle of attack. What about something that would help his investigation? How intriguing. We'll launch some kind of trap, grab them by the tail, and thrust proof they can't talk their way out of in their faces. What a perfect situation. If I'm the one they want, why don't you use me as a decoy? It's dangerous, but Takano and the others need me, so they'll definitely fall for it. It really is dangerous, but it would prove that she's after Rika. Have them see her and make them chase her. Could lead to something interesting. So that's where Stoko's Hills come in. Once they go up there, they'll be in big trouble. You said it. Boy, will that be a sight to see. This is going to be great. That should be the final method we use though. Once we're barricaded into the hills, the situation will change quite a bit. This should be our last resort. Cut my life in 2 pieces. She's right. The traps in the hills are great as a defense measure, but that's all they can do. They can't attack the enemy for us. Barricade on the hill as our last resort, huh? Very final resort for what the enemy attacks this location, and we have no other choice but to leave. By the way, we have an underground tunnel leading out that's connected to a well in the back. Wow, your house is amazing, Leon. This is really getting crazy. Enemy is a mysterious organisation, we have a secret operation, a secret base, and now a secret underground tunnel. Just the sort of thing that gets a guy excited. Oh, I'm not a guy, but I'm excited. So now we have 2 ideas. We'll come up with more. Can anyone think of anything else? Ow? Let's see. We want at least one more. Last one is a rather defensive tactic too. Isn't there something more aggressive that's perfect for our club? You know, some way to hit them real good. A blow that will set back their conspiracy. Can we pull off something like that? Yeah, I'm sure we can. We're not as powerless as you think, Rika, and it's not like we don't have cards to play. You're the ultimate objective and you're with us. That's one crucial card on our side. And not just in the sense of using you as bait. That's true. It's a huge disadvantage for them that we have the Queen Carrier. I mean, what's their goal? Kill Rika, trigger this emergency manual to eliminate the whole village and use that chaos in their internal faction wars, right? Yeah. To them, Rika's like the fuse on a stick of dynamite. They want to set that dynamite off, cause chaos, and use that to gain something for themselves. So if we keep it from exploding, we win. It's going to be pretty tough. You're right. We have to continue defending her, but all they have to do is kill her in any way. It's like a soccer game with a goal on only one side. To denounce this unfair game for what it is and call in the Bloodhounds is the point of the Tomitake operation, right? Isn't there a goal for us though? Where can we defeat their conspiracy? Must be something. Sometimes it works to think from the opposite point of view. Oh? Oh, there is one. Min started to grin in a weird way. Here she goes. The winds are blowing stronger on her side and she's getting into better than top form. She's pretty smart. She's great at analysing situations. That's why when Rika first told her everything, she immediately decided there was no way for us to win and became depressed. But while Mion's easily crushed, she's also able to exhibit incredible power when the wind's on her side. We created that tailwind, and our sailors receiving the push it needed. Let me confirm this one more time, Rika. That emergency manual was designed to prevent all the villagers from going insane with that within 48 hours of your death, right? Yes, that's its purpose. Ow? Rika has never died before, so how do they know something like that will happen within 48 hours? She's right. That's really strange. How can they say for sure all the villagers will go crazy within 48 hours? Well, according to Takano, something similar apparently happened in another country, and that's where they got the 48 hours from. I have no idea, though. Actually, Irie said he doesn't understand it either. Ah, could it be? I see. I know their weak point. I see it too. That's right. This is their blind spot. Eh? Eh? What are you talking about? I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it either. Hee. Hey, Rena and Rika, don't you understand? Why don't we put the last person to figure it out through a punishment, huh? How about you, Hanyu? Haven't you figured it out yet? Yes, I have. That's why Rika's important to Takano. That's a hint for you two. Oh, here is a hint from me as well. The enemy's intention is to cause a disaster in Hinamizawa. They intend to do so by using this emergency manual. In other words, the manual is in fact the enemy's Achilles heel. I don't get it. Oh, Rika, you apologise for everything you've done to me, I'll tell you. No way, stop that ow-owing. I want to concentrate. I love their interactions, so cute. Love that, stop your ow-owing, I want to concentrate. Hanyu's, like, in 2 episodes become one of my favourite characters. It really is like Hanyu, Mion, Shion, everyone else. But I like Mion because she is our genderqueer bicon, as I have claimed her to be. Whether it's canon or not, I've decided it. Haven't you figured out yet, Reina? Listen, our attack depends on Tomitake, and that's our Achilles heel. On the other hand, the enemy's attack depends on the emergency manual. So we destroy the foundation of the emergency manual. Do you see? We just have to make the emergency manual lose its function. Oh, what is the meaning of the emergency manual? It's supposed to hide the existence of the syndrome by making it look like a disaster. So that's why they have to wipe out the entire village within 48 hours. That's what the enemy intends to do, at least. Sorry, wrong button. So you're saying we just have to stop them from executing the manual within 48 hours? But those 48 hours don't start until I'm killed, so I need to outrun them for 48 hours? Meep meep. You two already saying the answer. You good? Let's say the answer out loud. Everyone ready? Here we go. Rika has to die 48 hours prior. You all said it in unison. Boy, we're good at this. We never mess it up. Just a sob. I know, I got it. I got it too. Reina and Rika clapped their hands together. They finally figured it out. Why did it take so long for us to come up with this? Oh, we finally got it. We should have come up with this on the first try. We've been speaking mainly in defensive terms, so I thought you might never think of this idea. Oh, listen to you. I love you even more, Hanyu. In recognition of your achievements, I'll award you our club's Special Audit Cross Medal later. Anyway, let's talk about the operation. Their goal is to execute the emergency manual. Hidden in that goal is actually a huge weak point. The foundation of the manual is the notion that the villagers will go crazy within 48 hours of the Queen Carrier's death. In other words, if nothing happens in the 48 hours after Rika's death, then the foundation of the emergency manual collapses. That's it, to say the least. Nobody really wants to do such a terrifying thing. But if they don't execute the manual, the villagers might go mad and spread to the surrounding communities. They're hesitant to execute it, but they want to keep the damage to a minimum. But what if they find Rika's body 48 hours after her death? The major premise that the villagers will lose their mind within 48 hours of the Queen Carrier's death will collapse. Fortunately, Rika's hiding here, so it's possible for us to lie about her death. The last time Rika was seen was yesterday at school. It'll be 48 hours after that and the early mornings of the day after tomorrow. It'll be perfect if her body is found around that time. I see. It's possible to fake Rika's death with the help of that Mr. Oishi. Indeed. We'll ask Oishi to send out an announcement that Rika's body has been found and that it's been at least 48 hours since her death. Well, it might create some issues if he announces it publicly, so we can just let the Irie Institute know. Coach is on our side, so it should be possible to deceive them. That is... what an idea. Once the emergency manual loses its credibility, such a horrible operation will never be approved. In other words, the weak points of the emergency manual and Rika. Oishi hasn't agreed to help us yet, but I know he will. How? Oh, this would be such an amusing trap. I can just picture Mr. Kano running around in a panic. Takano believes Sateko and I are sick in bed with the colds, but as she hasn't actually seen us, she's just assuming it's true. But as it turns out, we were somewhere else, and suddenly my body shows up, having been dead for over 48 hours. This is going to be super thrilling. The masterminds will have to accept the failure of the emergency manual and withdraw. That's when the hunters become the hunted. By that time, Tomitake must have found something out about the enemy. And he'll call in the Bloodhounds to defeat them. That's our goal. I can't help but feeling it's all going to go wrong. Like, this is Higurashi, you know. Alright, I can smell our victory from here. How perfect is this? This is all going to work out, I'm sure of it. Don't say words like that, Keiichi. We all encouraged each other with a hip hip hooray. This is definitely getting really interesting. Still, what's key is that the claim of Rika being dead for 48 hours is believable. For that, we'll need Oishi's help. And right as we thought about asking him, he arrived at the Sonozaki residence. Oishi knows that Rika's hiding here. He also knows that some members of the Mountain Dogs will have infiltrated the police station. They've even wiretapped Rika's home phone, so the safest way to contact her, he figured, is in person. I saw Dr. Irie earlier. He told me to tell you that Akasaka is doing just fine. He's grown a lot in the past 5 years. He'll hold down the fort. Oishi loosened his tie while drinking his barley tea. I bet he never thought he'd end up drinking a glass of barley tea at the home of his old enemy, the Sonozaki family. So, Oishi, what do you think of our 48-hour operation? I think it's a pretty good idea. It'll shake them up quite a bit. In their panic, they'll make mistakes for sure, and that'll give Tomitake the chance to get a drop on them. It's a great strategy. They say 2 heads are better than 1, but with all your young minds together, you come up with a fantastic idea. Oishi laughed in admiration and assured us the operation would definitely make an impact. However, he hesitated a little too. It's a pretty sink or swim, you know. Whether we win or lose, I'll have to take responsibility. I'll do my best to pull out the splinters, but if I don't do a good job of it, I'll end up pretty deep. I have to resign myself to that. In our 48-hour operation, Oishi ends up bearing most of the responsibility, and the police are a strict organisation. There's no guarantee they won't investigate. He's planning to retire this year. He needs his pension in order to pay off his mortgage. He's at a very delicate point in life. Well, this is a big deal for Rika. It's lots to ask of him too. He has to risk throwing everything away for our sakes. This operation's a great idea, believe me, but I just can't. Oishi, if it's too much, you don't have to accept the part. We don't want to win by using you as a sacrifice. Nobody knew what to say to him, but Hanyu broke the silence. She's full of energy out-bowing during our club, but at times like this, she also has the power to heal the hearts of those who are hesitating and growing weak. This is why I love her so much. Also, she's just adorable. She's an adorable character. It's like being enveloped in a mysterious embrace. I think maybe Rika would really like to know as well that, like, Hanyu was the spirit who saved her when she was suffering. Oh no. I got this soft, lovely cushion ages ago, and I've been using it because my desk chair is incredibly uncomfortable. But because I tend to slouch, I've like rubbed up a bunch of the fur, and I don't know how to like make it smooth again. I always do this, but then you have these really smooth cushions, and you're like, what am I supposed to do with him if I don't use them as the cushion? It's like being enveloped in a mysterious embrace. If her appearance matched her level of maturity, she'd probably look like a mother. Besides, we're members of the most powerful club in the world. Even if the 48-hour operation can't work, we're sure to come up with another idea straight away. Right, Mion? Yeah, that's right. Oishi, you can't say no, okay? We shouldn't have gotten all excited over this without even considering your situation. Yeah, that's true. Sorry, Oishi. Reina whispered to me while watching them talk. Hanyu's good at this. Who could say no when a cute little girl says stuff like that to them? Eh? What? Do you mean, is that what Hanyu's trying to do? Yeep. She's even more sly than I am. As Oishi moaned and groaned, Hanyu looked over and grinned wickedly at us. I take it back. This girl, she really is sly. She's more dangerous than I thought. Next time I do a club activity, I'll really have to watch out. Please let me sleep on it. There's someone at the station I really trust, so I think I'll discuss it with him. Now that would be the ultimate betrayal if Kumagai was, Don't worry, he won't rat me out. If I agree to do this, I can't make any mistakes. So before I do, please let me think over the chance of success. I wish he never makes promises unless he's sure he can keep them. That's why he speaks cautiously, but considering his position, it was certainly a decision that required courage. Don't worry, Oishi. Even if you lose your pension, Neil will take care of it. Won't you? Oh. Meep. If he's gonna help us, we have to do that for Oishi. Meep. Huh? Well, you know, despite how this old man looks, my family is pretty rich. We've got 2 sly foxes. Our club's going to be the epitome of a free-for-all in the future. The meeting ends with that. I love you so much. We'll find out if we can go ahead with a 48-hour operation or not by tomorrow, depending on Oishi's answer. We haven't heard from Tomitake yet, but I'm sure he started his investigation on Takano. The coach and Akasaka have to wait patiently, each surrounded by the enemy. They're both in very dangerous positions, so I'll just have to pray for their safety. And then there's Mr. Kano. I'm still having a hard time she's believed in such a vast conspiracy. Someone told me the whole thing was a lie, I might even believe them. That's why I want Tomitake to investigate. She's mysterious and a bit cold, but she can be fun to be around too. And I've always thought of her as one of the villagers. Hurts more than a little to suspect one of your own. I can understand what Tomitake is going through. This doesn't have to be an investigation to confirm her guilt. Instead, I want him to prove that she's not guilty. It's too painful for people to doubt one another. Hello? Sorry for making you call me so often, Tomitake. That's okay. Anyway, did you find out anything? A background investigation usually takes a few months. It can't be rushed within a day or two. But Tomitake sensed that something huge had started to make its move after what Rika and the others told him, and it was definitely getting closer. But once it was close enough to see, it would be too late. That was why he was checking on their progress so frequently. We're still investigating her as we speak. When she took a position in the Alphabet Project, her background was investigated by a different department, so we've requested those documents to be handed over. The entire team is investigating what she's been doing since the time she joined the project. Please, give us a little longer. I understand, but the situation is urgent, so please work as quickly as you can. Yes, of course. By the way, we've got an emergency order to investigate the Institute today, unrelated to your request. It's our top priority now. Chief of Staff requested it. Chief of Staff? And it isn't related to my request? Yes, well, it's supposed to be a separate matter, but from what I can see, I think this is a powerful boost from the top towards your investigation. Chief of Staff is helping out? What does this mean? The only thing I can assume is that the top members of the SDF have realised the danger of the conspiracy surrounding the Irie Institute. Ow! I just moved my arm and really hurt my wrist. Like Rika said, this conspiracy's intent is to execute the emergency manual. The opposing camp will try and stop that from happening. My request for an investigation is the first step in putting a stop to their plans. So if the masterminds were influencing the Chief of Staff, he'd probably try to shut it down. But he's supporting it instead, which probably means that he isn't my enemy. In fact, he might belong to the opposing camp. Now, it's hard to say if he belongs to them or not. He might just be under order from the ones putting the strength for the opposing camp. If that's true, then the enemy has already noticed something, and it's possible they'll start exerting pressure soon enough. So how much can I find out before that happens? I don't know much about the top brass. Still, for the Chief of Staff to get involved. Putting aside if Mr. Kano is guilty or not, I'm certain that something extremely big is starting to happen around the Institute. We can progress in investigating the Institute. We haven't analysed the data yet, but some of the financial records are suspicious. We don't know if it's a simple paperwork mistake or if someone is actually trying to juggle funding, but I have an expert looking into it. What do you mean by suspicious? Well, as you know, there's an account for the funds supplied to the Institute, but the numbers don't match up. It's possible there's inflows or outflows of money that haven't been recorded. Besides that, there are questionable dates on some of the receipts. We're suspecting forgery. They're usually supplied annually. For example, if a budget of 1 million yen is approved, 1 million is supplied in April, and the facility manages those funds so they can keep things running for 1 year. So depending on how they use the money, it's possible to have some left over at the end of the year. If they only use 900,000 yen, they'll have 100,000 yen left. Then for the following year, they'll be told that they only need 900,000 yen. So they only needed 900,000 yen should be enough. Should be 10,000 yen left over, so they only need 800 next year, then 800,000, which is 200,000 from the previous year. As some of you already noticed, the more leftover money you have, the fewer funds you receive the next year. Therefore, it's smart to use up your entire budget. But some people try to get by until the end of the year, and if there's 100,000 yen yet, they try and make it look like they've used up the money, even when it is in fact in a safe somewhere. They report that they've used exactly 1 million yen, and they get another 1 million for the next year. Yet there's still 100,000 yen sitting in a safe. This 100,000 yen is called a pooled fund or a slush fund. They keep running with only 900,000 yen per year, then the 100,000 will be added in the safe annually, and only a handful of people will know about the money. This is how public funds get embezzled or turned into private money. As we previously mentioned, Alphabet Project is using this exact trick, and certain masterminds are putting in huge amounts of public funding as emerged from the story into the meta realm. To avoid this kind of situation, there's an audit of accounts performed every year, and oversight to ensure no one's fattening their pockets or creating slush funds. I've had to work both with financial and information auditors before, and it's a real headache. Because at my old office, I knew some of the outgoing, but not all of it. I didn't really handle any of the like really big outgoings. Or if I did, it was just like the basic jobs for it, which meant that I'd be told like, I need you to find receipts for this amount of money, or like, you know, this is this is everything that's on the, you know, that's the system thinks that you've spent. I want you to find proof for all of them, and I want you to flag if there's anything wrong. And it's like, well, there's this massive sum missing and I don't know what's going on. And I talk to my boss and he's like, oh yeah, I approved that like 3 months ago and just never told you about it. And you're like, how am I supposed to do my work? But that's what my old office was like. By the way, it's been said that the reason why civil engineering projects tend to start up at the end of the year is so they won't have that 100,000 yen left over, but that's not relevant right now. The point is that they have to work hard to get the funds they want. Well, it's an example of having some money left over, which is certainly not bad, but it can also be possible that there isn't enough money. After all, they're only granted 1 year's worth of funds, so they can't delve into a savings account like we do in our lives. The excess money just doesn't exist. Therefore, an estimate report should never show up more expenditure than revenue. If that happens, that means there's some extra money other than what was supplied. That's how slush funds are discovered. Tomitake was told that it was still under investigation, but that the Area Institute's suspicious financial records could be either case. The former would be fine, it's quite common after all, but if it was the latter, there would be something quite nasty lying beneath the surface. In other words, it was quite possible that funding was coming into the Area Institute from someone other than the formal sponsors. To be more exact, there was a chance someone was interfering with the Institute by supplying funds. Okay, I see now. I was confused. I didn't see what the second one was, but... Tomitake was having his men look into the possibility of Takano and the Mountain Dogs rebelling against Tokyo. When it was certainly possible for Takano to do so, because of a personal investment in the research project, it was hard to believe that the Mountain Dogs could betray their employer out of sympathy. Yeah, especially seeing as it seems like they really don't like Takano. Like, that's the impression I got from Okanogi, as he's, you know, like, yes and no, but he doesn't actually like working for Takano. Sorry, my elbow's hurting, so I'm trying to fix it a bit. For the dogs to take part in Takano's conspiracy, a huge amount of money would have to be involved, and the discrepancy that Tomitake's man had identified could be a sign of such. Ooh, I see. So rather than it being because they like her, it's because the people who have, like, inspired her are basically paying them to do so. Bribery, we love to see it. Hello? Sorry, I just received a report. You know Dr. Koizumi, don't you? The head of the old Koizumi faction. He passed away recently, which led to the faction breaking up. Do you know anything about the personal relationship between him and Major Takano? Yes, I've heard about that. But did you know that Koizumi and the late Dr. Takano had a personal relationship? Eh? No, wait. I see. Now I know why Koizumi doted over Major Takano. This is very interesting. As a matter of fact, after Koizumi's death, his private accounts were liquidated. So... Tomitake didn't know that Koizumi and Dr. Takano, not Mio Takano, okay, liquidated. And they found some withdrawals made by Koizumi himself instead of the attorney who took care of his finances. It happened about half a year before the Area Institute's establishment was approved by the Alphabet Project. Didn't Koizumi use the money to make necessary arrangements beforehand to establish the Institute? No, his attorney took care of all the money for that, so withdrawal wasn't made for that purpose. Must have been for a personal expenditure, considering he bypassed his trusted attorney. So, could that involve the relationship between Koizumi and Takano? Does that mean that he supplied funds to Major Takano personally? Yes, that's what we think, and we're trying to corroborate that as we speak. We think Koizumi gave her money for purposes other than the necessary arrangements for establishing the institute. So, you're saying that it's possible Major Takano has a huge amount of cash at her disposal to help instigate the revolt? To establish the institute, Major Takano adjusted things with various organisations, but she did all that through legitimate means. Sure, she didn't use any of her personal supply for that. She should still have the whole amount at her disposal. I'm sorry, but what is that amount? 1 billion yen. What? I'm very close to Miss Takano, but I had no idea she was so rich. Actually, she's rather tight with her money. She never acted as if she had 1 billion yen just sitting around. But then, that money isn't just money to her. It's a form of support from her dear grandfather's friend. So she'd have to save it for when she needed it the most. If the new board of directors had even a little interest in research, she would have used the money on them, but they simply laughed at her. So Takano gave up on bribing them. Instead, she decided to use it now, because her project was going to be terminated anyway. With 1 billion yen, it might be possible to bribe the mountain dogs. She has sponsors, so it'll be even easier. Her grandfather couldn't complete his life's work, but she's planning a magnificent conclusion for it. Shit. This can't be her true intentions. Someone has to be deceiving her. Takano, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't notice your sorrow, even though I'd been right beside you. Like, isn't that the tea? Like, I still feel really bad for Takano, even though she's, she's absolutely the bad guy in this. And, you know, she's a pretty horrible person, but she had a rough upbringing and she's clearly got problems, so I don't know. Right, let me have a look. It's only 10:30, but we finished the 48-hour operation and my throat really, really hurts. So I am going to end stream off here, and I have a sneaking suspicion that next week may be our grand finale, or it may not be. We'll see how it goes, but I have a sneaking suspicion it could be. It looks like I only have 2 chapters left of the story, but then I've got the chat with Rika 7 and I've got the hidden chapter. No, I don't know how long either of those will take. So I might just do like an extra long stream next week for the to get to that like grand finale. So that's it. I will be streaming on Saturday. I'll be streaming Nier Automata, where we will be hunting down some of the endings that we haven't already got, which I'm looking forward to, including both the gag endings and the normal endings. You know, the non-gag endings, I should say, perhaps. Then on Sunday it'll be Destiny 2, where we're going to be checking out the new checking out the new exotic quest. I really have lost all of my words. And making work on the quests we've already got going. Handing in a bunch of quests that I finished and then haven't handed in because I wanted to finish them on stream. Tuesday will be Final Fantasy 14, where we are just going to be hanging out, doing our raids, our roulettes, all our normal stuff. Then next Thursday will be Higurashi When They Cry, Matsuribayashi, the probably grand finale. So I'm going to say thank you very much for watching. It is very much appreciated, and I hope that you enjoyed. I'm sorry for finishing early, but I'm tired and my throat really hurts, and this is a good story break point. And I will see you guys on Saturday.